across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for 3 powerhouse hours of news, views and topical debate all the way to 7 o'clock. Get on the show, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000. Or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Thursday, April the 9th. Here's what's coming up. As the government carries on doing the square root of damn all to tackle the migrant crisis, hundreds of Chancellor foreigners have this week been crossing the Channel illegally. Last week, 2 died on their lethal voyage to the Promised Land. This morning, 4 more perished as the dinghy they were struggling to board sank in strong currents off the coast of Boulogne. For how much longer is this government going to do nothing as this dangerous chaos escalates? How many more people have got to die before this government takes measures to actually stop this horror unfolding before our very eyes? Week in, week out. The summer's coming. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. This is ridiculous, folks. 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, America, Israel and Iran redefine the term ceasefire and the bombs keep on raining down. Never hear Kiev faffs around in the Middle East looking for photo ops and desperately deluding himself that his presence in the alleged peace process means a damn thing. It wasn't his war, but it is his peace, apparently. What peace? And just what the hell is our dear leader doing over there? Labourites believe they can sell this pathetic little man as an international statesman. Hilarious. Good luck with that. 0344 499 1000. Starmer's hopelessness on the world stage has wrecked our special relationship with America, but he's even worse at home. Back in Britain, the shoplifting epidemic continues apace, and later I've got in about an hour's time, by the way, I've got a special talk film for you revealing just how little the nation's supermarkets do to stop thieves just walking out with their stolen goods. It's quite extraordinary. 0344 499 1000. Why don't these stores even try to tackle the scumbags helping themselves to whatever they like? 0344 499 1000. In other news, the Premier League's Pride campaign is ruled offside by lawyers, and Kinsey Schofield joins me later with the latest news from Planet Royal. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday afternoon together, and let's go straight over to the leader of the Advanced UK Party, Ben Habib. Welcome, Ben.
Good afternoon, Kevin.
Well, let's talk first, shall we, about the migrant crisis, because last week, hundreds came over last week. It's proving once again the weather's getting better. As soon as the weather's nice, across they come. There are no other deterrents to migrants crossing the Channel to Britain except bad weather. When the weather's good, they just come across. Our government is doing nothing. Now, people like you and me, when we say, we've got to stop this. We can't keep letting all these undocumented foreigners into the country. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for our culture. It's bad for the country. They will go, racists, you're racists. Actually, let's look at the migrant crisis. Last week, 2 men died, trying to get across the Channel in a flimsy dinghy to the Promised Land. They died. This morning at 7 a.m. off the coast of Boulogne, 4 people died. 2 men and 2 women, struggling to get on board this small boat, this flimsy small boat that was in big trouble in strong currents off the coast of France. It sank, they drowned. So when people call us racists for wanting to end the migrant crisis, my response to them is, actually, what I want to end is people dying. People dying in the English Channel because of our government's policies. So don't call us racists. Call us people who care about lives, about human lives, right?
Well, I think the concern about human lives goes not just towards the migrants who are taking this dangerous journey, illegal migrants who are seeking to make this dangerous journey across the Channel, but also concern for British civilian lives in the United Kingdom when these undocumented men, many of whom lie about their age, all of whom we know virtually nothing about, come into this country and potentially pose a risk to our people. The whole thing is wretched. And of course, the easiest way to stop death in the Channel is to make it abundantly clear to these people that they will not be allowed to come into our territorial waters. Forget about benefits for a second. Of course they shouldn't get benefits. Of course they shouldn't be put in hotels. Of course they should be arrested and detained and then deported once they get to this country. That should be blooming obvious. But they shouldn't be allowed into our territorial waters in the first place. And if you want to stop death in the Channel, stop the dinghies from coming into our territorial waters. They will soon enough stop launching off French shores. Once they know that they can't make it into the United Kingdom, they'll stop trying it. We've got to use force in the Channel. And we saw this ridiculous scene of Dennis, what's his name? I was going to say Dennis Healey, but the Secretary of State for Defence.
John Healey.
John Healey, talking about...
A very different kind of Healey.
I've got much more respect for Dennis Healey than I have for this lot. But, you know, talking about how they'd intercepted Russian subs. It's a joke. We can't stop a flipping dinghy, and they think they're going to challenge Russian attack subs and reconnaissance subs in our waters. We have lost the ability to defend the United Kingdom, and we are being assaulted daily by people coming from France. We are being invaded, and it's frankly a distraction to talk about Russian submarines until we can get a grip of flipping dinghies.
Yeah, by the way, the Defence Secretaries, we're going to cover this story a little later in the show, but the Defence Secretary's statesman-like response to this invasion by a Russian sub into the English Channel was, President Putin, we see you. Great, fantastic. Right. Well, that gives us a warm feeling, that does, John. Right, so 137 migrants came across 2 days ago. Yesterday, 159, and I suspect many more today. So they're coming because the weather's got good. Now, in other news on the migrant crisis, Ben, here's a rundown of just the sort of chaos that unfolds every single day as this government, this gormless government, thrashes around, clearly with no idea what to do at all. Now, first of all, yesterday, a load of gendarmes were pictured just standing around on the beach. We've seen this scene many times. While migrants try,
£1 billion.
Yeah, while migrants try to get onto their various waiting dinghies. Meanwhile, the good news is that the Border Force says it's going to increase its fleet to patrol the Channel. Shabana Mahmood has suggested to the French, listen, why don't you let us, the Border Force boats, why don't you let them come into French waters and we can intercept some of these dinghies and bring them back to the beach, before these people get into danger. Why don't you let the French? Oh no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
so that was a reasonable, practical suggestion that might have done something towards.
But Shabana Mahmood should intercept those dinghies, if necessary, in British territorial waters and drag them back to French territorial waters.
Yeah.
And if the French don't like it, they can challenge us physically in the Channel. Let's have it out with them. But it's not just Russia that is assaulting the United Kingdom. France, through its neglect of its own border control, is causing damage to the United Kingdom. France is the problem here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is revealed in this. This is Shabana Mahmood, perfectly reasonably saying, well, look, we've got all these new boats. Why don't we come in when the loads of these small boats are coming across, the dinghies are coming across? We'll come in, we'll intercept them, and we'll bring them back to France. Now, I think it tells the whole story of the French attitude.
They don't give a damn
when they say no, you can't do that. In other words, that is a way that would stop migrants leaving France. We don't want that. They want them to leave France.
Of course, it's very short-sighted of the French because the more that they let through to France, to the United Kingdom, the more likely it is that illegal migrants will enter France in the first place, because they'll see it as a route to the United Kingdom. If we, all of us, shut our borders across Europe, of course, the Europeans are so stupid, they've got the Schengen zone without borders. But if we were all to shut our borders, these illegal migrants would probably be deterred from coming into Europe in the first place. What we've forgotten in Western civilization is that borders are essential for national security, and they must be enforced with force if necessary. No one wants to hurt these people, but they've got to be convinced not to make that journey. And the best way to convince them to not make the journey is physically resist their entry to the United Kingdom, whatever it takes. The Belgians do it. They have fast boats, sensors, drones, barricades. They intercept these dinghies as they leave Belgian shores, and they send them back to Belgian shores again. They've reduced the flow of illegal migration from Belgium by 92%. This is not rocket science. It's easy. It's repugnant that governments across Europe are not dealing with it.
Yeah, what it needs to solve our migrant crisis, I mean, first of all, we need to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, and that's a different issue. What we mainly need, what our government needs, is resolve. They need to actually want to solve this crisis, and I am not convinced that that is the case. I don't think they want to save it. Nothing else could explain their absolute hopelessness as this crisis escalates and escalates. And we've got the summer just on our doorstep now. It's just about to start. We're seeing hundreds coming across this week. A couple of weeks ago, almost 1,000 came across. The weather's getting better. Stand by for the summer invasion. And Shabana Mahmood, not so long ago, a couple of months ago, said, I expect this year more migrants will come across than last year. So last year it was about 45,000. She thinks it will be at least 50,000 this year. It'll probably be more. This government isn't doing a damn thing. Not a single deterrent.
Shabana Mahmood was, I think, filmed on Greek beaches, wasn't she? Greek islands, bemoaning the fact that the Greeks were trying to prevent illegal migration.
When she was a backbench MP, to give you a window into her soul, she used to go to the Greek islands regularly at the weekend and hand out food parcels to illegal migrants pouring in from sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East. So that gives you an idea of her attitude where it comes to migrants. So that's at the heart, I think, of why Labour doesn't really want to solve this crisis. But the reason that they should, if nothing else, is because people are dying crossing the channel trying to get to the promised land. And as you also said, we are in the process of busily importing our very own sex crime epidemic, which puts British citizens at risk all over the country. A worrying upward turn in the number of sex crimes either committed or accused by migrants, by asylum seekers. So the whole thing is a disaster. Before you go, Ben, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of other stories. Can you work out, so Keir Starmer, it wasn't his war, but apparently it is his peace. By the way, there's no peace whatsoever. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, is 100% closed at the moment. So all this nonsense about Trump and the gang going, yeah, it's open. No, it's not. It's closed. So there's a problem there. Anyway, Starmer flies out yesterday, goes to Saudi Arabia for a few photo ops, saying, he's come to, endorse the ceasefire and take part in the peace process. Now he's gone to the UAE, to Dubai, same deal, where he's posed with some British soldiers for pictures and all that. What the hell is that weird little man doing out there? What exactly is he doing? Nobody can work it out.
No, well, he is an awful man. And of course, when this war broke out, you'll recall he gathered a group of Muslims in the Great Hall in Westminster for an iftar party, at which, by the way, the Palestinian ambassador from the West Bank was present and treated Starmer as if Starmer was his junior. I don't know if you've seen those clips, Kevin, but it was an absolutely...
I saw the speech,
awful display. Anyway, Starmer gave away his colours completely at that iftar party, because he said to his Muslim brethren that there's no way that the United Kingdom is going to enter this war. And there was huge applause. And that revealed to me, and I think to any sane-minded individual in this country, that actually Starmer is framing his foreign policy based on domestic sectarian politics, because Muslims in this country actually, like so much of the political class, like the Greens, like many people in Labour, like so many in the political commentariat, Sky, BBC, they are clapping on and egging on and celebrating every success Iran has.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that through the reporting. It's been absolutely awful. Starmer stands against British national interests, against Western interests. He's only gone out there, as you rightly say, Kevin, for a photo op.
We're looking at him now. He's surrounded by British soldiers out there. I've never seen a more bored group of people in my life. They really don't seem to be too enamoured of their Prime Minister.
No.
But yeah, he's just gone round on these photo ops. Now, the hilarious thing about this is all part of Labour's new master plan to rebrand Keir Starmer. They've accepted that he's a bit of a disaster at home, but they think they can sell him, rebrand his image as an international statesman, a powerhouse on the world stage. That's what this is all about. I mean, I say good luck with that, Labour. How are you going to make this bloke look like a powerhouse on the world stage? He's a minnow. He's a waste of space. No one even knows what he's doing there. Perhaps rather than posing for photo ops, he should have been concentrating on HMS Dragon, the warship that he sent from Portsmouth Harbour 3 weeks ago, which finally chugged into Cyprus about just not so long ago. It took nearly 3 weeks to get there.
And then promptly broke down.
And then broke down. That's our contribution to the war. I mean, it's a sick comedy.
British bases were attacked and we didn't respond. What kind of signal does that send to the rest of the world? You know, he talks about Putin. They talk about the rule of law. They keep going on about the rule of law. It's only Western civilization that practices the rule of law. Iran, China, Russia, all these other countries, they practice the rule of power. They want to see power. And when they look at Starmer, they just see, as you say, a pathetic minnow of an individual. And for him to be now posing with military personnel, none of whom have actually participated in this war, as if he's claiming the peace through some kind of military endeavor. He refused to support our American allies in this war.
By the way, there is no peace. There is no peace. This nonsense about a ceasefire. Iran spent, as soon as the ceasefire was agreed upon, Iran fired 17 ballistic missiles at Dubai. You've seen what happened in Lebanon, Israel pounding Lebanon for all it's worth. The Strait of Hormuz, which Donald Trump has said, it's open. Yeah, it's not open. It just is not open. If you look at a ship map, I've been looking at them today, the Strait of Hormuz, 25 miles of sea off the coast of Iran, is completely empty. There's a gaggle of ships, downstream waiting, but they're not allowed through. So we are being gaslit with, the Strait of Hormuz is open again. 20% of the world's oil used to go through there. It's not open. And Iran is saying if you do want to take your ship through there, it's $2 million one per ship. So the whole thing, he's out there to attend to the peace process. What peace?
But do you not find it extraordinary? Do you not find it extraordinary, Kevin, that none of the political commentariat in the United Kingdom accuse Iran, as they should, of war crimes? This is a war crime. Attacking global natural resources in order to prosecute their war aim. They keep talking about the potential of Israelis and Americans, breaching international law in the war against Iran, but they never once say that actually blockading the Strait of Hormuz is a breach of international law, is a war crime.
It's very much a breach of international law. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure.
And bombing Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi, all these countries which are non-combatants. The commentariat call it asymmetric warfare. It's actually terroristic warfare. Yeah. They're bombing people who are not fighting them.
Yeah, and they're still
Iran is an awful regime, awful regime.
Yeah, indeed. Ben Ben. Good to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for your time. Ben Habib, leader of the Advanced UK Party there. Next up, we're going to talk to former Conservative Defence Minister Sir Gerald Howarth about what's been going on in the English Channel. Apart from all the migrants coming across in small boats and some of them tragically drowning, 3 Russian subs have been tracked coming into our waters, and our Defence Secretary, John Healey's response was, "Hey, President Putin, we see you." That's it. We'll talk to Gerald Howarth next. Stay tuned.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Here is the news. 3 Russian submarines were tracked by Britain for a whole month before the Navy helped scare away Vladimir Putin's meddling sailors. They were seen in the English Channel. Now, let's welcome my next guest, and then we're going to play you a little clip from our current Defence Secretary, John Healey. So welcome to the show, former Conservative Cabinet Minister Sir Gerald Howarth. Welcome, Sir Gerald. Bear with me. This is the current Defence Secretary, John Healey, responding to Vladimir Putin's clear taunting of Britain by sending his submarines into the English Channel. This is what the Defence Secretary had to say.
To President Putin, I say, we see you. We see your activity over our cables and our pipelines. And you should know that any attempt to damage them will not be tolerated and will have serious consequences.
Do you think that Britain took the same attitude when Iran fired drone missiles at our air bases in Cyprus? And when they fired drone missiles at our soldiers in northern Iraq, we seem to just let that happen. Suddenly, John Healey sees Vladimir Putin, and he's getting very tough. It's very pathetic, all of this, isn't it?
I'm afraid, Kevin, it is utterly pathetic. Actually, I was not a member of the cabinet, but I was Minister for International Security Strategy. And so perhaps relevant to what we're discussing at the moment. I mean, it beggars belief that for a month our armed forces have been shadowing or observing. We don't know the details here. What we know is what the Defense Secretary has admitted to. But it appears that they've been shadowing these Russian ships, which have been recceing them to see which of them does what, and which one, the destruction, which can do the most damage. But quite apart from the humiliating speech that John Healey has just given, this idea that Russia might face serious consequences. Well, Defense Secretary, what are those serious consequences? You've allowed the Russians to explore, map, maybe even interrogate our underwater cables for a whole month and done absolutely nothing except watch and say, we see you. What are these serious consequences? At what point there was a frigate, a Russian frigate went through the channel yesterday with a shadow tanker where the Prime Minister said that we're going to take action to intercept these shadow Russian tankers acting in defiance of sanctions. We're going to do something about it. And this just just sailed gently through.
So we did nothing about it. Now, I think it was very significant, Sir Gerald, when we became a nation that allows enemies to attack us. That was, a month or so ago now, when the Iranians fired 2 drones at the British airfields, military airfields, airbase in Cyprus, and we did nothing whatsoever. We allowed an enemy to bomb us. It was the first time we had been militarily attacked as a nation since the Falklands War in 82, I think that was. So a long time.
It was.
We did nothing. And meanwhile, a few days later, in northern Iraq, a military base we share with the Americans, brave British soldiers were absolutely assailed by an absolute fusillade of drones coming in from Iran, to the extent that they ran out of anti-air missiles. They had to call for more. We did nothing. We've become a nation that lets enemies attack us militarily, and we do not respond. That is beyond the pale. That is terrifying, to be honest with you.
It is terrifying. And the fact is that our armed forces have shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And in part, it's not just the politicians to blame. The public is in part to blame because they wanted a peace dividend, i.e. they wanted to spend more money on two-child benefit instead of the money being spent on defending us. And also, I think that our armed forces themselves, the senior people in our armed forces, cannot be allowed to put the blame all on the politicians. The fact is that we had one Type 45 destroyer. It is the most advanced anti-air destroyer in the world. It is a brilliant bit of kit, cost £1 billion each one. We only have 6, but the Boffins came up with a novel propulsion system, which it turns out doesn't work in hot water.
It's broken down, hasn't it?
No. All 6 have got the wrong engines for warm water.
That's right. Yeah.
What's had to happen is that BAE Systems have had to cut a huge great hole in the side of each of these ships, take the engines out and put new ones in. You can't blame Jeff Hoon, who was Secretary of State at the time, for this. The people who made these decisions in the armed forces and advised ministers accordingly, they need to be held to account as well. Who were the people in the Royal Air Force who agreed to allow a contract to BAE Systems to upgrade an ailing 1950s aeroplane called the Comet, which had been turned into the Nimrod, to turn that into what was called the MRA-4, which was 9 years late, 750 million over budget until when we came into office, rightly cancelled it. I mean, these people have got to take some responsibility themselves. So what I'm saying, Kevin, is this. The whole nation, that is to say, the politicians, business leaders, military leaders, and the public have all got to understand that the world has changed since the end of the Cold War, and we face threats on multiple fronts. But clearly, the most pressing at the moment are Putin in Ukraine and what he's just been doing to the United Kingdom, and what he's done to Poland is sending drones into Poland. He's pressing NATO at every point to see how far he can go before we retaliate. When is the retaliation going to happen, Mr. Healy, Secretary of State for Defense? Please tell us, because I think we're entitled to know. But also we face a threat from Iran, as the security services have indicated. Something like 20 threats have been intercepted. 20 threats from Iranian-backed terror groups in the United Kingdom have been intercepted since October 2024. We face a real challenge. The people got to wake up. We can't afford all these benefits.
Absolutely. I mean,
we've got to get on with defending ourselves.
You want to say to John Healy, yeah, we see Putin as well, but we're not the Defence Secretary. We might have hoped for a more robust response from the Defence Secretary and this nation. Before you go, Sir Gerald, can I get your thoughts? Can you? I know you follow the news closely, and will have followed Keir Starmer's latest "Never Hear Keir" trip. He's gone to the Gulf, to the Middle East. Can you work out what the hell it is he's supposed to be doing?
Well, I know what he should be doing. He should be telling our allies in the Middle East, and these are important allies. We have had defence contracts, really vital defence contracts, both for them and for us, sustaining hundreds of thousands of jobs, when exaggerated, let's say tens of thousands of jobs across the United Kingdom, kept our production lines open for our own defense. So Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Oman, very, very important allies. And I'm afraid we have let them down. This Prime Minister has let them down. And the question that the British people need to ask, is the Prime Minister hesitant about supporting the United States against one of the most evil regimes in the world because he sees his Muslim vote hemorrhaging to the Greens? And he's now fashioning British foreign policy because Labour is under threat, that the Muslims are deserting. We have 5 so-called independent members of Parliament. They're not independent. They stood on a pro-Gaza platform. Hold on, this is the United Kingdom. This is not the Middle East. What on earth are 5 members of Parliament standing on a platform like that? Absolutely. This is the United Kingdom, and you should stand on United Kingdom issues and not on foreign issues. And the Prime Minister should be telling our allies in the Middle East that we are on their side, because if there's any risk that they should, having had the experience that we've all had with President Trump, that they should start looking for alliances elsewhere, particularly with China, that poses an existential threat to all of us, and particularly in the United Kingdom. He should be shoring up support for them. But how can he be doing that when he's degrading our military capability? There is no evidence of the extra money that was promised to upgrade our defence budget. Rachel Reeves believes in giving more money and benefits and not in supporting the defence of the United Kingdom and our interests around the world. This is dereliction.
Yeah, absolutely. Gordon and Denton is dictating British foreign policy, and that is not right. Sir Gerald, it's excellent to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. Sir Gerald Howarth there, former Conservative MP, National Security and Strategy Committee member. Now, next up, we're going to go back to the migrant crisis and talk to the former boss, the chief of the Border Force, Tony Smith. That next, stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's go back to the shocking story. 4 migrants drowned in the Channel just off the coast of Boulogne this morning about 7 a.m. As 42 more were rescued as their dinghy, their small boat, sank in the strong currents that prevail there. Last week, 2 guys died trying to make the same voyage to the promised land, you know, from France to Britain. You know, this government's doing nothing. There's no deterrence. We always knew this. The weather's got better. Here they come. So there's been about 300 so far. We don't know yesterday's tally yet, but we'll find out as soon as we can. And it's quite clear they're coming across today. And we've had the usual scenes of French gendarmes standing on the beach smoking Gaulois, watching the migrants board all these boats and head off for the land of wonder that is Britain, where we give them everything they could possibly dream of. We're not giving them deterrence, giving them enticements. It's pathetic, it really is. Let's talk to former Chief of the Border Force, Tony Smith. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Kevin.
Well, your thoughts, I mean, there's a number of stories going around today to do with the migrant crisis. First of all, as I just said, 4 people tragically drowned, 2 men, 2 women this morning, trying to get onto a dinghy that sank in the strong currents off the coast of Boulogne. 42 had to be rescued. Last week, 2 died. So if nothing else, this is a life and death issue. We've got to stop these boats to stop people drowning, to stop people dying. Meanwhile, I think allowing in thousands and thousands and thousands of undocumented young men between the age of 16 and 35 presents all sorts of criminal problems, particularly in terms of sexual offences. We know what we're talking about. The whole thing is spiralling out of control. We have a government doing nothing. Shabana Mahmood has offered your old squad, Tony. They're getting more boats. The fleet is going to be increased. And Shabana Mahmood said to the French, look, we're getting more boats. Why don't you let us come into French waters? We can intercept some of these dinghies and get them back to shore before they get too far across the channel. You'll be shocked to hear the French said no. They don't like that idea. Why do you think that is, Tony?
So, Kevin, before I came on, I checked, I write quite a lot of stuff about this over the years, and I checked something I wrote in the Telegraph back in 2021 where Priti Patel went and made the same offer to the French, that we will put our boats in your waters, we will bring people back to France, and they said no. And here we have a different government, different Home Secretary making exactly the same offer, and the French are still saying no. So it's pretty clear to me that the French position politically has not changed, Kevin, whether you got whatever government you've got here. I think this government were hoping that, you know, maybe get rid of the nasty old Tories, Labour could come in, have an entente amicale with the French and get a new deal. But, you know, the only deal they've managed to do is this one-to-one deal, and even that has pretty well
one in, one out is just ridiculous.
Yeah, one in, one out, and you know the numbers. Well, you know the numbers are pitiful, so that's not really having the desired deterrent effect. Here we are now back in negotiations with the French. We've extended the negotiating period, but I fear that the officials that are representing Shabana Mahmood, the same as the officials that are representing Priti Patel, are getting pretty short shrift at their level from the French whenever they go over there to try and persuade them to do more stuff. We get no. We just give us the money and we will continue to deploy on the beaches. And if you don't give us the money, well, then we won't. And the other thing, Kevin, did you know, I don't know, I mentioned before, but part of that deal was that they were going to build a detention centre in Calais, right? Yeah. The French were. That was part of, that's what part of the money was for. And we thought that was a good idea because they would then arrest these people themselves because they're in France illegally and detain them and deport them from France. And so we said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
And what's happened to that then? Yeah. Apparently, they haven't been able to get planning permission.
Well, that sums it all up. And don't forget that as these tragedies have unfolded, the 2 dying last week, 4 dying this morning, and this all too familiar picture of the French police just standing around on the beach watching these desperate migrants trying to clamber onto these chronically overcrowded vessels, these dinghies and small boats. As that familiar scene has unfolded, don't forget, we are paying them at the moment £16 million, I think, £16 million as an extension, a 2-week extension to the £500 million deal we've had for the last 3 years for them to patrol their beaches, and the talks to renew that £500 million deal have stalled for reasons that we've just been discussing. So we're paying them an interim 16 million quid for this kind of fortnight that we're in at the moment. So we're handing them vast amounts of money. 6 people have died in 2 weeks. 3 weeks ago, I think 1,000 migrants came across the channel. 300 have come across this week already, and 6 deaths in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Britain offers no deterrence, and the French do nothing to stop these migrants. This is just an absolute shambles, and a lethal shambles at that.
So the French have got a legal responsibility to save lives at sea, regardless of your views on immigration and borders and stuff. They've got the same obligations as we have to save lives at sea, Kevin. And these fatalities are really worrying, because this is right under their noses that people are drowning. Now, that is a crime scene in my book. If someone falls off a dinghy and drowns in their waters, that is a crime scene. Someone could have been murdered. Someone could have been pushed overboard. We don't know. But that boat should, and all the people on it should have been taken back to France. They should have been arrested, and there should be full witness statements done, and they should have an inquiry. Well, what's happened? They take the corpses off and they let the boat carry on to us. And when the boat arrives in Dover, then we have to take it on board forensically, and we have to interview all of the people on board to see if they can tell us what happened, so we can tell the French. That is fundamentally wrong, because they are abrogating their responsibility under the law of the sea. And I don't know how they get away with that, frankly, Kevin. If that happened in British waters, you and I would be talking about it for years. There'd be judges, inquiries, there'd be parliamentary committees wanting to know how we let people drown under our noses. Yet this is happening, almost weekly now with these overloaded boats, and the French aren't doing anything about it. So I think we do have to call them out, Kevin.
But yeah,
they
the
have
French,
responsibilities of their own, and they're not fulfilling them.
But one of the moans of absolutely, Tony, I couldn't agree with you more. The French are to blame for a lot of these problems. But when they complain, they say to Britain, look, you're asking us to stop these migrants. What would help would be if you in Britain didn't offer them so many enticements. Obviously, they're going to carry on turning up on the northern French beaches around Calais, Dunkirk, etc., in their thousands, in their many thousands, desperate to get on these boats, because they know if they can get across that 21 miles of sea, the English Channel, from Calais to France, once they get to England, they get £50 a week benefit, they get a 4-star hotel, they get free food, they get free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers, free bloody driving lessons, and so on and so forth. We've got to stop doing that, haven't we? Because yes, the French, they don't want these migrants staying in France, so a lot of the blame goes on them. But our failure to put up any deterrence puts a lot of blame on Britain as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I do advocate. I've always advocated detain and deport, Kevin. As you know, I was a supporter of the Rwanda plan. We can't control what the French do. We can only control what we do, but we don't have the legal framework to do that. The legal framework to do that's now been dismantled by this government. To be fair to Shabana Mahmoud, she has tried to cut down the pull factor, talking about longer time now to get ILR, looking at asylum funding, looking at family reunification. She is pushing that door, but what I'm seeing, and politically, is that quite a lot of Labour backbenchers are pushing back now, rowing back against those ideas, and so, well, no, actually, we think we need to keep the asylum support systems, which remain, so the pull factor will remain in place if they get their way. So you're right, there are things we could do, to reduce the pull factor. I think Home Sec's been trying to do some of that, but even she is running into problems in terms of getting that past her own party. And I still don't think that goes far enough personally, because I would like to see, a detain and deport policy where we have to change the legislation, and that's going to take some time, and I think probably a new government to do do that.
I think so. We need to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. If we don't do that, we can't even start to solve this crisis. It is a tragic shambles, Tony. But excellent to talk to you as always. Thank you so much. Tony Smith, former head of the UK Border Force there. Let me know what you think. It is a lot of people making jokes at the moment about, John Healey, the Defence Secretary, said, oh, yeah, if you come in the English Channel again, Putin, we see you. He's getting very tough on that. And yet he is a cabinet minister in a government that doesn't do anything to stop this daily flotilla, regatta of small boats and dinghies coming across the English Channel. Thousands of them, week in, week out. And this year, it's going to be even worse than last year. And as I keep saying, folks, welcome to the summer and welcome to the annual invasion. This is when it starts. It's going to get very, very bad. And the channel's going to get very, very busy. Perhaps John Healey, the Defence Secretary, could stand up and say to the migrants, we see you. And hope that solves the crisis, because that does seem to be his solution to everything. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. Next up, lawyers have blown the whistle on the Premier League's bid to carry on its Pride campaign. It has a big Pride campaign for gay rights and all that. That's a good thing, I guess. But they're being challenged legally by a group who say, well, look, this is the politicising of football. Campaigning for Pride, the Pride campaign is political, and that should not pollute football, if you like. We'll talk about that next.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There's a girl called Lindsay Smith. She's a Newcastle fan, and a couple of years ago she got banned from Newcastle season ticket holder, big fan of Newcastle. She got banned for posting on social media her views. That a biological man is a biological man, and you can't change sex. Biological females are biological females. You cannot change your sex. That's her belief. Lindsay's gay, by the way. For that, she was banned by Newcastle, and she was furious because she said that Newcastle surveilled her after that, started following her around and took footage of her taking a dog for a walk. Anyway, Lindsay is now regrouped, and she is taking legal action against the Premier League, the FA, the Football Association, the Premier League, for promoting gender ideology in its Pride campaign. Let's talk to a football fan, Southampton fan, and the leader of popular conservatism. He is Mark Littlewood. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Kevin. Good to be with you.
Yeah, I thought about you last weekend. Good result against Arsenal, yeah?
Fantastic, yeah. Best result for a while, yeah.
Yeah. So, notwithstanding you're a football fan, you're a Southampton fan, you are keen on football. So, the Premier League it takes great pride in its Pride campaign.
Yeah.
Lindsay Smith, as I said, she is a gay girl who supports Newcastle. She's taking legal action saying you cannot continue this Pride campaign because it is openly and blatantly political. You are politicising soccer. So that's going to the courts. The Premier League, her case says the Premier League asserts on its website that Premier League with Pride is akin to its other initiatives such as No Room for Racism and More Than a Game. Yep. Lindsay's lawyers say this is not the case since neither of those initiatives is focused on social policy change. Yep. And yet Pride is focused on policy change. So she says that the FA's Premier League Pride campaign is polluting football with politics. What's your thoughts?
She's got a hell of a point in my view, hasn't she? And it does hinge on, I think, whether you are advocating something political. So, for example, if you're just putting banners up saying, no to racism and reminding spectators that they could be ejected or banned from the stadium if they hurl racial abuse at any players, none of that suggests that you think the English law should change in any way, that you have a particular view about asylum seekers or what sort of efforts should be made to assist ethnic minorities in inner cities. If you're associated with a campaign that advocated a change in fiscal policy or social policy, that would make it political. So if the Premier League's Pride campaign was limited to sort of say, show respect to people irrespective of their gender or their gender identity, they wouldn't have run into a problem. But it's absolutely evident, without digging into this in any great detail, that Pride is political. It actually has a political mission. So, for example, to make it easier for people to get gender recognition.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And teaching in schools and the rest of it about gender identity. So this is advocating for a change of policy. It's not just saying be nice, pleasant and kind and non-abusive to each other. And so that crosses a line, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. And we reached out to the FA and the Premier League, and so did the Telegraph, who's also run this story. They haven't got back to us, and they declined to comment to the Telegraph, so make of that what you will. But Lindsay's lawyers, we're trying to get Lindsay as well, by the way. I have interviewed her a couple of times. She's a great girl, and she was very badly wronged by Newcastle FC, by the way. Her lawyers make the point. They say our client is of the view that just as it would be wrong for messages beamed around football stadiums to promote messages such as vote Labour or vote Reform, so it is also wrong for the Premier League stadiums to be filled with Pride symbolism. I think she's got a flat-out point. The FA, the Premier League, has a 100% policy. We do not get involved in politics. We do not push political messages. That's quite right. With its attitude to the Pride campaign, it either knowingly or unknowingly is pursuing a political message, pushing a political message, isn't it?
No doubt. And I mean, let's dig a bit deeper into the hypocrisy. If you are a football player and, for example, ripped off your shirt when you scored a goal and your T-shirt underneath had a political message on it, whether it was to vote for a political party or even to make a political statement, you as a player and quite possibly your club would be punished. Indeed, it wasn't so long ago, if you remember, that the international football authorities thought that the poppy could be considered
That's right. That's
symbol.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if the poppy is anywhere close to being a political symbol, pride is as political as it gets. So given that these rules are applied pretty strictly to a player who tried to wear any kind of political messaging on a shirt or in some other way in the course of a match, or nobody would be allowed, I think, to hire an advertising hoarding in order to put forward a political message, then this surely should fall foul of the same rules. And it's worth remembering that, of course, the Premier League abandoned its Rainbow Laces campaign, got rather too close to Stonewall, who are unbelievably political. I mean, in my view, have some rather bizarre ideas about gender and sexuality and identity, but nevertheless, whatever you think of their ideas, they're political. So the football authorities took a step back from Stonewall, quite rightly so, but I'm afraid pride falls into pretty much the same category. You cannot possibly categorize this as non-political. So if this is allowed to go ahead, it would follow, as night follows day, that individual footballers should be allowed to put forward their own views for social change on their T-shirts or on armbands or whatever they're wearing in post-match interviews, and that wouldn't be allowed at all. So it can't be one rule for one and one for the other. I should just add to that as well, Kevin, I don't have any stats for this or any research for it. It's just my gut instinct as a fan. I suspect these sort of initiatives are counterproductive. I'm really not sure that the FA or the Premier League endorsing this is going to actually mean that there's more tolerance on football terraces and amongst football fans. I suspect there'll be less because it will get people's backs up.
Yeah, there's a performative wokery about the FA and the Premier League, and that's what's at play here. But as I say, if the Premier League or the FA want to get in touch, we'll reach out to them. Very happy to get their side of the story. Mark, excellent to talk to you. Thank you so much. Now, when we come back, we're going to show you that amazing shoplifting film, so stick around.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, earlier in the week, I think the entire nation was pretty shocked about the fate of a guy called Walker Smith. Walker Smith was a shop assistant. He worked for Waitrose for 17 years. Waitrose, like all the other supermarkets, like all the other shops in this country, is suffering from this terrible epidemic of shoplifting. People just walking into the stores, helping themselves to what the hell they like and walking out. Waitrose, it transpires, got a policy. I've got some respect for this, but in other respects, I don't have any respect for it. They've got a policy that their staff must not in any way try to challenge shoplifters at all for their own safety, for possibly risking their own lives. I don't think that's right, but that's their policy. So Walker Smith, what he did, there was this guy that kept coming in and stealing stuff. So he saw this guy come in on his latest raid, and he had a big bag of Lindt chocolate Easter eggs. They're pretty expensive, by the way. It was quite a lot of money he was in the process of nicking. Walker Smith, loyal employee, 17 years, says, I've had enough of this. So he tried to grab the bag from the guy. Give me that. You know, you can't steal that. The guy got away, wriggled away, and the eggs all fell on the floor, and Walker, in frustration, picked up one of the eggs and just chucked it angrily at one of the shopping trolleys. He was fired for trying to do the right thing, for trying to stop someone stealing from his employers. His employers fired him, which brought into sharp focus the problem that this nation has, shoplifting. And all the big stores seem to have this policy, you know, don't get involved with shoplifters. You never know. They might have a gun, they might have a knife. To some extent, I sympathise with that. You know, they don't want their staff injured or anything like that. But it does beg the question, if you've got security guards, what are they for? They're even told not to get involved. So what is the point? So what we did here at Talk is we decided to test the shoplifting thing out. So we sent our investigator, Christian Drogan, into the streets of Britain to try to see if basically he could steal from our supermarkets, to find out how difficult or how easy it is. I should say we were very careful about this legally. Christian left a letter in every store to say he did not intend to permanently deprive these goods. He kept the price of what he stole very low, less than 10 quid, and then replaced them all afterwards. The definition of theft legally is intention to permanently deprive. If you have no intention to permanently deprive, then it's not theft. So we were very careful legally, and this is not, by the way, we're not trying to teach people how to shoplift. We're trying to show you how easy it is and how the shops don't do anything about it. So this is Christian Drogan's film on shoplifting. Take a look.
Over the past 24 hours, I conducted a shoplifting experiment. I went into Tesco, Aldi, Sainsbury's, Marks & Spencer and Waitrose. Now, I conducted this experiment in light of the security guard from Waitrose who was sacked after stopping a shoplifter. I took items off the shelf, I put them into my rucksack, I put my rucksack on my back and I walked straight out the front door. I just want to add that we never planned to permanently steal anything, and we did actually leave a letter inside the shop, which was placed very obviously, and recorded ourselves putting it there with a £10 note inside, explaining what we were doing, just in case things got a little bit heated. So in front of me is Waitrose, and I'm about to head in there and see what happens. So that was Waitrose, first supermarket. I literally openly put the stuff in my bag, barbecue sauce, rice, soy sauce and a tin of kidney beans. I put it into my bag, I nervously walked to the front door, I walked straight out the front door and away we go. So mate, just let you know, I am recording. Yeah. I've just done a social experiment, so I'm not nicking this stuff, but I've put it in my bag. I'm going to put it back. I've left 10 quid on the shelf over there just in case I got caught, but I didn't get caught.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to put it back, yeah?
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Barbecue sauce. All right. Just let you know, I've got nothing in my bag. I did walk out of the shop with stuff in my bag. It's part of an experiment that I was doing.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but I just thought I'd be honest with you and let you know. Take care. Cheers. Okay, here we go. Sainsbury's, shoplift number 2. Got to try and be a bit more obvious this time. I've got my tenner that I'm going to leave in the shop. Sainsbury's, done. I took some fruit juice, milk and pigs in blankets and I slid underneath the barrier thinking that might sort of attract a bit of attention. I walked out the front door, I waited, and sure enough, nothing happened. Shoplift number 2 done. Time to put everything back and away we go. Here it goes, backpack on. Ready to go into Tesco. Tesco, third time lucky. I took some cereal bars, I took a few other bits and bobs from that same aisle, and I walked straight out the front door, straight through the barrier, past the security guard, and I wasn't stopped again. I did, however, go back in to speak to this security guard. Hi mate, I'm just letting you know, I'm just basically doing a social experiment. So I've just nicked a load of stuff. I'm going to go and put it back now, yeah?
Why are you doing that?
Just a social experiment, mate. You know, in light of what's happened. I've left some money in the shop on the shelf. So I'm just going to go and put the stuff back now, yeah? Yeah?
I don't know what kind of social experience is it?
Well, it's in light of what's happened at Waitrose, you know, the guy being sacked for stopping the guy nicking the stuff. So the guy's been sacked. So basically I've just taken that stuff under the value of a tenner. I've left a tenner in the shop in an envelope, and now I'm just going to go and put it back.
Where's the pen?
I'll show you. So I'll put the envelope there with the money in there.
All right.
And now I'll put the stuff back.
All right.
Yeah? Okay. Cheers, mate. He just said it's almost impossible to stop. He said even when we do catch them, we can't call the police because the police don't do anything. It's absolutely pointless. The police don't even turn up. Marks and Spencer, fourth time lucky. And yeah, I wasn't stopped again. I went down a few aisles. I took some chocolate biscuits. I put them in my bag. I walked through the tills and straight out the front door, and nobody stopped me. When I did go and tell the security guard what I'd done, he was very concerned, and he did actually take a picture of the letter that I'd left in, but he was very understanding about what I was doing, because I did take time, as I did with the other 3, to explain what I was doing and why I was doing it. Hi mate, it's a social experiment in light of what happened in Waitrose, so I'm just letting you know I have left a tenner in the shop. Okay. I'm just going to go and put the stuff back that I've just nicked.
Okay.
Yeah, nice one. I'll put it all back, mate, yeah?
Did you nick the food?
Yeah, so I nicked it all. I nicked some food then and walked out of the shop.
When?
And nobody stopped me.
When?
Just now. You can open it if you want. I left that in the shop. So there's a letter to say what I'm doing and £10 notes to cover what I nicked, but now I'll put the stuff back.
Seriously, I was on my route yet. So if we know someone is stealing, yeah?
Yeah.
First of all, we have to confirm.
Confirm.
Someone is a proper shoplifter, yeah?
Yeah.
So when he went out here,
yeah.
Stop at the door.
Aldi, here goes. Aldi, well, same again. I walked in, I took some squash, some fruit, 3 bottles of fruit juice, right by the tills. I walked through the tills, out the front door, and I wasn't stopped again. I did walk back in, and the shop staff didn't seem too happy with me in this situation, despite me trying to explain what I was doing and why I was doing it.
Lucy Wing, Crime Policy Advisor at the British Retail Consortium, said, confronting a shoplifter is a major trigger for violence against store workers. Colleagues are trained on how to de-escalate the situation without putting themselves in harm's way. Retailers welcome the imminent passage of the Crime and Policing Bill, which will strengthen action against offenders, including making assaulting a retail worker a standalone offence and removing the £200 threshold for investigating theft. It is vital the police respond to every reported incident to visibly demonstrate to offenders that all types of retail crime will not be tolerated.
Aldi and Sainsbury's said they were aligned to the British Retail Consortium's statement.
A Waitrose spokesperson said, there is a serious danger to life in tackling shoplifters. We refuse to put anyone's life at risk, and that's why we have policies in place that are very clearly understood and must be strictly followed. As a responsible employer, we never want to be in a position where we're notifying families of a tragedy because someone tried to stop a theft. Nothing we sell is worth risking lives for.
A Marks & Spencer spokesperson said the safety of our colleagues must always come first. All our security colleagues receive extensive training when it comes to dealing with retail crime, and the focus is very much on deterring crime rather than detaining. We would never want a colleague to put themselves at risk. At M&S, we invest tens of millions of pounds each year to protect our colleagues and our stores.
Tesco did not respond to a request for comment.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. Well, joining us now is our resident shoplifter. He is our investigator, Christian Drogan. Hi, Christian.
Hi, Kev. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Now, that was a remarkable film. Now, my question to you, now I've got so many questions, is, look, when these stores say, we don't want our shop assistants, we don't want our staff put at risk. You know, I understand. I've got some sympathy for that. I'm not sure that I'd go as far as some of these shops go. I think a lot of British people don't like to see the law being broken, and they do sometimes take their own measures to try to stop that. I don't think that is an impulse that should be discouraged, frankly. But anyway, they're talking about this stuff. Now, the people you were dealing with as you sort of moseyed out of the shop with your stolen haul, well, actually, technically, it's not stolen, as I say. Thievery is legally defined as intention to permanently deprive. You did not intend to permanently deprive, but, you know, we know what you were doing. But the people that you were talking to, that you challenged, that you went back in, you got challenged a couple of times, other times you went back in and said, I've just done this. These are security guards. These are people who are there as security guards.
Yes.
What is the point, do you think, Christian, of hiring security guards and then telling them under no circumstances must you tackle shoplifters? I don't understand. That's a massive, great waste of money, isn't it?
It really is. Now, it's not the security guard's fault. I'm
not blaming them. I'm just wondering what the point of a security guard is if he's not allowed to monitor security.
Yeah, so I actually felt quite bad on the security guards, really, because, you know, they're there, as a few of them said to me, they're there to do a job. They can't really do the job which they would like to do, which is to prevent shoplifting, and you know that's where the line's drawn with it. Really, that's as far as it goes. One of them did say to me that, you know, he looks out for his staff members. He's not supposed to, but he does. He said he asked me to keep that off record, but you know I won't reveal who he was. But he just says that if there was ever any aggression, that's sort of what he sees his role as well. Even though technically that's not his role. But
well, look, Christian, it was never your intention nor Talk's intention to deliver some sort of instruction manual on how to shoplift.
No,
that's why we didn't focus in on what you actually did. And these stores, all of these supermarkets, they got pretty agitated about this. I hope you're not going to tell people how to steal from our shops. Well, I don't want to go into the details. Of course we don't want to tell people. But shall we just say that the process of stealing from these supermarkets, we're not talking about super criminals here. It's a pretty straightforward process. You walk in, you pick it up, and you walk out. So they're saying, oh, don't tell people how they do it. Well, it's not rocket science. migrants. So I would suggest that these shops, while I understand to an extent their policy to keep their staff safe, to not put themselves at risk, if they're not going to do anything at all to stop people who walk in and steal stolen goods, then frankly they sort of deserve their fate, don't they?
Yeah, well, they do, but by the same token, Kev, I think if the police if they didn't shirk their responsibilities towards the petty shoplifting so much, maybe they wouldn't even be in the position in the first place. So I mean, I think as well, what there should be more of a duty on citizens on the whole to sort of make it unacceptable. Realistically, if I saw someone shoplifting, I think I would definitely take a picture of them and report it to the security guard, and they can report it on to the police. And I think more people need to start, if they do see it, because obviously I shoplifted, in those videos, I shoplifted in front of the staff and in front of other people.
They're just walking in, and they're all looking at you.
Nobody said anything to me whatsoever.
What did that feel like the first time you did it?
It was, well, the first time I did it was very nervous. I sort of went around the houses in the shop.
I bet you thought they were going to sort of arrest you and it'll all be embarrassing, right? But
yeah, well, it was quite embarrassing, to be honest. When I went back into that Aldi, all the shop members were just sort of, all the people who worked there, they were staring at me, and I said, "So see you later." And none of them responded. But it wasn't a great feeling, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we, it was. I feel it was an important thing that we had to do.
It was.
So,
I'll tell you what I think, Christian, just before I leave you. Thanks very much for your excellent work. It was good to have you on the show again, because, of course, you filmed our amazing documentary about the jungle where all the migrants gather on the north coast of France some time ago. Smash hit on YouTube, that one. I think you can still see it if you want. But what struck me was... the ease with which you were able to do this, and the fact that I hoped that I would be like Walker Smith. I hope I'd be the kind of person who would see someone walking out with stolen eggs and say, "No, you're not going to do that. I'm going to stop you." I hope I would be that type of person.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would.
I think most of us probably feel that way. I think it's if people draw more attention to it, you don't necessarily have to, in my opinion, you don't have to actually tackle the people to the ground.
Exactly,
you could just say, you could raise awareness to it, you could take photos and videos, and I think that could be just as good as actually attacking maybe try and embarrass the people, make it socially unacceptable. Because right now it's not socially unacceptable at all in this country. I mean, you see the videos all the time.
What I'm getting at, Christian, is just my thoughts. I made this very clear earlier in the week when we were talking about Walker Smith. I don't like these stores' policies, which basically tell people, British people, to stand back and watch while the law is broken. Don't do anything about it. I think it flies in the face of what a lot of British people are like. That said, I do understand that big businesses have to think about the welfare of their staff. It's a difficult situation, but telling people absolutely do not come anywhere near a shoplifter, I'm not sure that is a healthy thing to do, and it certainly is an ethos that can only make this shoplifting epidemic worse and worse and worse. I'm glad you survived it. Good to have you on the show. Great work, Christian. Thank you, mate. Christian Drogan, our investigator there. Next up, we're going to talk to Isabel Oakeshott. This film was her idea. She works with Christian. We'll get her thoughts on it, and we'll get her thoughts on the fact that Labour have just delivered their ideas about policies to crack down on shoplifting and to perhaps arm or give truncheons to security guards. Labour, of course, don't like that idea. We'll talk about all of that after this break.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Got a quick note here, a text from Ollie in Bromley. He says, I've been a store detective for 43 years. In fact, what you're doing is technically theft. And then he quotes, he says, no one is allowed to remove any item without first making payment or gaining the manager's permission. Well, Ollie, that's your store's policy. That is not the law. The definition, the legal definition of theft is intention to permanently deprive. If you do not intend to permanently deprive anybody of their property, in other words, you intend at some point to return it, it is not theft. So you've been a store detective for 43 years. You need to have a look at your law books. You really do. Here's a voice note from Tom on shoplifting.
A couple of weeks ago, I was in a large supermarket when I was doing one of these self-service shops, where you check your own shopping and put it all in the trolley. And I had quite a large amount. And I went to the checkout, and because I had alcohol, the girl had to come over and check that I was over 25. So I said, thank you very much. And then got my trolley and walked out of the store. As I got outside, I suddenly thought to myself, gosh, I wonder where the receipt is. Did anyone check it? And then I realised I hadn't actually paid. So no one had stopped me or done anything to me. So I was, of course, completely honest, went straight back in, found the girl at the checkout who was extremely worried that someone hadn't paid, and explained what had happened, that I was in another place, I was miles away, and she thanked me very much, and I was able to pay properly. But actually, that was a real full trolley worth of shopping. I walked out without paying, and nobody stopped me.
Tom, that's amazing. I mean, it just sums it up. I mean, I'm not surprised. Nobody, well, as we saw from Christian's film, nobody stops anyone. Listen, we're going to talk to Isabel Oakeshott, our international editor, whose idea this brilliant film was, in just a second. But let's remind ourselves of when investigator Christian Drogan went into Tesco.
Tesco, third time lucky. I took some cereal bars. I took a few other bits and bobs from that same aisle. And I walked straight out the front door, straight through the barrier, past the security guard, and I wasn't stopped again. I did, however, go back in to speak to this security guard. Hi, mate. I'm just letting you know, I'm just basically doing a social experiment. So I've just nicked a load of stuff. I'm going to go and put it back now, yeah? So I'll put the envelope there with the money in, yeah? All right. And now I'll put the stuff back. All right. Yeah? Okay. Cheers, mate. He just said it's almost impossible to stop. He said even when we do catch them, we can't call the police because the police don't do anything. It's absolutely pointless. The police don't even turn up.
We did put in a call to Tesco, as we did to all the supermarkets. Tesco's alone just failed to respond. So we did ask them, gave them their right of reply, they didn't respond. Right, let's go over to our international editor, Isabel Oakeshott, whose brilliant idea this was. Well done. Great film, that, Isabel. But look, this is what I wanted to get you on. As we show this film, great work by Christian there. Extraordinary film, but somehow, although shocking to see, not surprising. We know what's going on day in, day out in all of our supermarkets. So the Labour government has just responded to a call by Lord Richard Walker, Iceland's chief executive, Iceland's boss, to allow security guards at supermarkets to be armed to carry truncheons, to do something about this. Sarah Jones, the policing minister, has rejected that. She says it's not the answer. We have a different policing approach to the continent, policing by content, so on and so forth. In other words, in the face of what is an escalating epidemic of shoplifting, people are doing this in the hundreds, day in, day out. Stores are losing millions, tens of millions of pounds. Shops doing nothing. Labour's response is, oh no, we don't need to do anything about this. It would be wrong to arm security guards. That's pathetic, isn't it?
Look, I think that there is so much you can do that doesn't even have to get anywhere near arming anyone. The reason that I asked Christian to do this and didn't do it myself is because he's in the UK and I'm not. And where I sit in the UAE, in Dubai, nobody shoplifts, to the point that they actually allow you, if you're in a mall, a shopping mall with lots of different shops, you can take your trolley between all the different shops and have lots of different bags in there. No one thinks, well, you might sneak in a bag from another shop, you might be stealing things. There is an assumption that you won't do that. Why? Because if you were caught shoplifting, you would quite simply immediately be deported. Everybody knows that there are consequences if you do something. And this is what we need in the UK. The idea that people shouldn't be prosecuted because it's less than a certain amount of value. I don't care whether it's a 10 pence theft or it's £100 theft. It is the principle of the thing. And everybody, I think, has a role to play, as I think Christian put it very well. We've all got to make it socially unacceptable. When I had the idea for this experiment, one of the things I wanted to see is not just whether the security guards did anything, whether they even noticed. And by the way, in not one case did the security guards notice him shoplifting. And it is their actual job to notice people shoplifting. And in particular, by the way, since Waitrose has been making all the headlines this week, the Waitrose store that he happened to go into, at the time of day that he went in there, there was hardly anyone there. So part of me was a bit disappointed, thinking, well, there's no one there, no other shoppers there to catch him.
They're bound to get him, yeah.
But even the security guard, lovely guy that he was.
He didn't seem like a very nice man.
Oblivious. He was such a lovely guy, but totally oblivious. We all have a duty as citizens to have our eyes open to this problem and call it out. Now, whether that depends on the situation. I'm not saying everyone needs to be a have-a-go hero. It's not that difficult to say, hey, this person's shoplifting. Is there a security guard around here? Alert the management, make it socially uncomfortable, make it embarrassing. Don't just be oblivious, look out for it and play your part. And as for the security guards, yes, they need to be empowered to do as they see fit in the circumstances. Of course, it's right that employers are not saying you have to intervene and put your life at risk, but don't then go punishing guards that intervene. That is their actual job.
Exactly right. That's what I asked Christian. I said, well, we're not. Most of the people that he confronted and spoke to, they weren't just shop assistants or checkout girls or anything like that. They were security men. They were specific security guards. Yeah. And so you think, well, why are the supermarkets hiring these guys? Why are they paying them? They're not doing a damn thing. I'm not blaming them. They are actually, acting according to the store's policy. Don't touch, don't challenge anyone, don't do anything. But what is the point of them? Now, Lord Richard Walker, the boss of Iceland, the good guy in this drama, he was the one who immediately offered Walker Smith, the sacked Waitrose shop assistant, a job at Iceland, saying, you're a hero, you should have got a bonus, not fired, you can come and work for me. Lord Walker is also pressing the government for shops like his to be allowed to have, shall we say, more robust security. He said, you go to Spain, And all the security guards in the shops have pepper spray and a truncheon. They don't mess about. Well, why can't? I mean, okay, maybe not a truncheon, pepper spray, something like that. Why can't our security guards in our stores be armed to do something about this? Because if they're not, if we continue with Waitrose's snowflakey policy, which flies in the face of British decency. British people do not like to stand by and watch people break the law. Many British people will get involved and say, stop that. I don't like the idea of trying to suppress that very decent, very British impulse, but that's another issue. But why can't stores, at the very least, give their security guards pepper spray or something like that? Why can't we make a stand here?
Well, look, one thing's clear. We cannot go on as we are. It is awful for the retailers and it is culturally awful because this is the thin end of the wedge. And it's not even as if I have to sit here and say, well, if we allow this, then much worse will happen. Much worse already has happened. We've seen those appalling scenes in Clapham and in other parts of the UK in the last couple of weeks where teenagers have just basically gone out looting. So it's not even as if this is a theoretical thing. Well, if you allow this, the so-called broken windows thing, if you tolerate broken windows, much worse things happen. We are already seeing that. So there's a whole cultural change that is needed. And there are even small things that stores can do short of having pepper spray, which I think is a really interesting debate. I heard a caller to talk yesterday, I think it was, saying that at their local store, there are really burly security guards. And as every shopper comes in, they hand them a basket. And that little act of basically saying, I'm here, I'm really big, don't mess with me, here's your basket.
Good idea.
Rucksack is just a little nudge deterrent. So
we need more of that. I'll just leave you, Isabel, with Sarah Jones, the policing minister's response to this when asked about it on BBC Breakfast. The notion, the proposal that perhaps security guards in stores and supermarkets be given truncheons or pepper spray. She said this. This is Labour through and through, isn't it? Listen to this. We have a particular type of policing by consent, which is very different from the continent. Here, our police don't carry guns. That's just not true anyway. We have a different model of operation, so I am not sure that is the answer. She's talking about arming security guards. Listen to this. But what I would say is that the problem is very significant and we need to do a lot more to tackle it. Well, what, Sarah? What?
Yeah. What? I've had enough of hand-wringing on this issue. Something very significant has to change, and we need to empower security guards. They need to be real security guards, not scarecrows. The shops, the supermarket owners have got to stop running scared on this matter. And everyone who shoplifts, everybody needs to be named and shamed and put through some process of prosecution. It's not difficult to deal with these cases, but it should be punitive, it should be embarrassing, and it should be made to be totally socially unacceptable as well as a criminal offence each and every time.
I just think it's symptomatic of the social decline that's happening in this country. It's something's got to be done, but you can't trust this Labour government. Something significant needs to be done to tackle this. Well, what? Tell us what, for God's sake. Isabel, fantastic stuff from you and Christian. Thank you so much. Talk again soon. That's Isabel Oakeshott, our international editor. Let me know what you think about that film and what the shoplifting problem. Do we need to start arming guards? The police would do well to respond now and again. They never even come to look at shoplifting cases. So all in all, something needs to be done. 03444 99 1000. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Ed Miliband's massive, biggest solar farm ever anywhere, certainly in Britain. It's going to cover about half of Lincolnshire. We're going to talk to a representative up there about what has been seen as vandalism of the country. Furious locals in Lincolnshire are describing this massive sinister solar farm as something like Chernobyl. So there you go. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, let's talk about the biggest solar farm in Britain. It's going to be in Lincolnshire. And locals say it risks changing the very nature of the entire county. Locals, furious nearby residents, have likened this monstrosity to an act of vandalism that resembles Chernobyl. It's called the Springwell Solar Farm. Locals have been protesting like crazy. It will have a capacity, allegedly, to power 180,000 homes. And Ed Miliband, as is his wont, the nut zero maniac, the crazy Ed Miliband, has completely overruled all of the locals. He's happy for their lives to be ruined because he's on a mission to save the planet. It's just infuriating, the poor people who live around that monstrosity. Let's talk to the Deputy Mayor of Lincolnshire. She's from Reform UK, Ingrid Sheard. Welcome, Ingrid.
Thank you.
Well, your thoughts? I mean, this is vandalism. It's vandalism.
Where do I start? I'm absolutely disgusted. I think it's absolutely despicable what Ed Miliband is trying to enforce on this county. The area that he's proposing to decimate within this county with these solar farms is unbelievable. I mean, to blanket our beautiful countryside and also on our prime agricultural land that is here actually to feed the UK. When you look at it, I mean, seriously, the man must be mad. I don't know how.
I think that we can accept that is the case. I mean, this guy, he is a crazy zealot, a crazed maniac, an ideologue who doesn't care about people because he's on a mission to save the planet. This is going to cover 7 square miles of farmland, so we'll lose a lot of agricultural production along the way. And these solar panels will cover an area 10 times bigger than London's Hyde Park. And London's Hyde Park, I'm now getting a kind of image of how big this is, because I know how big Hyde Park is. 7 times Hyde Park. That is just massive, Ingrid.
Absolutely, and he's not listening to the locals. So there's been consultations. I've attended local consultations. The consultations have given a candy floss view of actually what is occurring. So they haven't even been open and honest and transparent during the consultations. Dame Andrea Jenkins has attended at least 2 meetings with the inspectorate to show strong opposition, and it's fallen on deaf ears. Both Andrea and myself have spoken to Ed Miliband in meetings and opposed and said, you know, there's better ways to do this. Let's put it on rooftops. We're not saying we're totally opposed to solar. We're just saying don't destroy our farmlands with it. But no, it's fallen on deaf ears. Since this has been announced, I've had hundreds of people coming to me absolutely distraught and disgusted with what this man is going to do.
Honestly, it's just so infuriating. Now, this will have this solar farm, the Springwell Solar Farm, will have a capacity of 800 megawatts. Doesn't mean much to me, but that will power, apparently, around about 180,000 homes. That's quite a few homes. But let's think about this. 180,000 homes. There are 70 million people in this country. So for the damage that this monstrosity is going to do to your lovely county, for the agricultural production it is going to destroy, to be honest with you, powering 180,000 homes doesn't add up to much, does it?
It doesn't. And Ed Miliband's policies are driving up costs and stifling economic growth and decimating our rural landscapes. Solar panels, they're inefficient. They are not reliable. They blight our beautiful countryside. Look, it's time to wake up to the reality. This net zero is a fantasy that's destroying our country. It's not just destroying this county, it's going to destroy our country. We need to look at better ways.
Yeah, well, look, I've got a better way. You're in Lincolnshire. You are sitting on, I believe, the largest shale gas reservoir in Europe. Underneath Lincolnshire is the most shale gas in all of Europe. And, of course, our ideological government will not allow you to frack to get that massive source of energy up. That would be a great thing to do. That would power a hell of a lot more than 180,000 homes, and it would not vandalise the countryside. What do you think?
Correct. Absolutely correct. I would go with that 100%. That's exactly what we need to do. We need to actually look at better ways of doing this, and not listen to the people. For goodness sake, listen to the people. Listen how this is going to affect their lives. Just, you know, that's all. That's my biggest shout. Stop hoodwinking people. Stop making people think that it's 180,000 homes within Lincolnshire, because it's not. This energy from these solar panels will actually go into the national grid, and the likelihood is in this county that is being destroyed, we will have very little of that coming back to us. So, you know, we've got to find a better way. I do not know why he is insistent on driving this forward. It does beg the question as to why. Why is he so insistent? Why will he not listen? Why does it fall on deaf ears?
Because he's a maniac, Ingrid. He's a maniac. He really is. I mean, yeah, I don't say this lightly. You know, we're all used to insulting cabinet ministers. We do it as a hobby. We do it as a laugh. But I don't. This is not a joke. I genuinely think there's a place in a padded cell for Ed Miliband, and he should have a straitjacket on. I think he has lost touch with his senses. I don't know what the hell he's doing, and his policies are driving this country, this nation, to hell in a handcart. They're going to bankrupt the nation. He's already given all of us long-suffering citizens the highest energy bills in the industrial world. Everything he does is a disaster, and I don't get it. But as I understand it, you haven't given up. You might go for a judicial review on this?
Correct, yes. So Andrea's been working hard on that in the background, and today she's actually appointed a barrister who's going to do everything to investigate every single avenue that we can to fight this and fight it strongly. The people of Lincolnshire are not going to roll over. We are going to fight this 100% every step of the way.
And will that successfully, I'm not sure, when is Ed planning to get this solar panel farm up and running? Do you know that?
In his mind, as soon as possible. Now, what also is unbelievable is that the proposed substation down at Navenby, which is near the vicinity, hasn't even been proposed, let alone being given planning permission. So he's going to put all of these solar panels in with no assurance that the substation that it's supposed to connect to is actually going to go ahead. Or does he know something we don't?
I'll tell you, Ingrid, on a general basis, you travel around this country, you go on a long car journey or a long train journey, it's really depressing. Everywhere you look, these, as far as the eye could see, these terrible, hideous solar farms, and then you've got these war of the world windmills killing birds by the millions. This green and pleasant land is being vandalised by Ed Miliband.
Correct, absolutely. And the fear is, once technology moves on and these solar panels become obsolete, what happens then? Because at the moment, there is nowhere to dispose of them. So are we going to be left with thousands of acres of graveyards of solar panels and then land that we can't farm any longer?
Yeah. And the last image for us, Ingrid, for the people of Lincolnshire. So you're going to have this huge 7 square mile monstrosity, this hideous bank of solar panels as far as the eye can see. And when it's not sunny, all of that will produce the square root of sod all in terms of energy. Correct. So it doesn't make any sense at all.
None at all. None at all. But the fight isn't over. We will continue to fight and we will find a way.
And I will continue my campaign to try to work out what the hell goes on inside Ed Miliband's head.
If you find out, please let me know.
I'm not confident that I'll work that one out, but if I do, you'll be the first to know, Ingrid. But seriously, we'll keep in touch. My regards to Andrea and all the best with your campaign. Ingrid Sheard there, Deputy Mayor of Lincolnshire, Reform UK Deputy Mayor. Dame Andrea Jenkins is the Mayor, as you know. And let me know what you think about this. This is happening all over the country. 7 square miles, that's massive. So if you see, that's like as far as the eye can see. Just the thousands, millions of these panels. You've seen them. They're hideous. They're hideous. And, you know, 7 square miles to power 180,000 homes. There's not that many. It's not worth it. For the vandalisation of this country, I don't think it's worth it. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. Sun Sport next. Stay where you are.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Let's find out what's going to be on the Sun sports pages tomorrow in the excellent company of Deputy Head of Sport at that great paper, Dean Scoggins. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you.
Harry Maguire believes Man United can win the title next season. Wait. if they spend big. You can say that for any team, really.
Absolutely, yeah. Spend, Harry says. Yeah, it's really good, this. It's Samuel Luckhurst has been over with Man United on their tour of Dublin, as they've done a couple of days training over there.
Right, yep.
Sat down with Harry Maguire and chatted to him, and obviously Maguire signed the new contract this week, which is a year extension plus the option another year. Talks about that they spent 215 last summer, that, you know, and Burmo, Cunha, Senna Lamans and the likes, and if they go again this summer, he thinks they can go and win the league. So 15 points behind Arsenal as they stand. They obviously don't know who the manager's going to be next season, Michael Carrick at the moment. But Harry's still that confident that they can go and win the league. But yeah, he also it's a really good piece, actually. It's a really good read, and one of the things he said is he believes he's still one of the best defenders in the world in both boxes. So there's a lot of talk about him ball playing and whatever, but in the air and winning crosses and attacking corners, he says, I'm still one of the best in the world. So
he's an impressive man as well. I mean, he's taken a lot of flack over the years, and he's stayed strong and he's bouncing back. So good for him. Talks about being booed by fans when England played Scotland in 2023,
and that's got to be really hard to take, right? Got to be really hard. You play for your country and you get booed by your fans. It's got to be really difficult. So yeah, fair play to him to still be playing at the very top, and could go to the World Cup obviously as well.
Yeah. Now we have to move on. I don't want to intrude on private grief. Let's talk about Spurs.
Yeah.
Tell us what's happened at White Hart Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of got a whisper of this yesterday, and now we've stood it up. Great work from Tom Barkley and Jake Sanders, who have worked together on this exclusive. But so Mohamed Kudus, another injury setback. He could be out for 2 to 3 months with this injury.
Be too late, won't it?
Yeah, either be safe or long gone by then, Tottenham. But not to forget, obviously, I'm very, very concerned from a Tottenham relegation battle point of view. He's only just come back to training a couple of weeks ago, having been sidelined since January, and it was a quad and hamstring problem. So it's a fresh problem in the same area we're briefed on, but obviously you've got to be careful with medical privacy with this sort of thing as well. But obviously he's a Ghana superstar as well, and so they've qualified for the World Cup in England's group. So it's a real big blow for Ghana as well if he is World Cup jeopardy as well. So
who have you got at the weekend? I forgot.
Tottenham away at Sunderland.
That's right,
on Sunday, and then
yeah.
Brighton at home the following weekend. So yeah, he was back in contention until this injury yesterday, and yeah, he was most likely going to be on the bench this weekend, but was in line to start probably against Brighton the following week.
Good luck to Spurs. God knows
you don't mean that, Kev.
I sort of do. I mean, I do. Although, you know, I performatively hate all the other London teams. Being a Fulham fan, I've got a softer spot for London teams than I have for the rest of the country. So,
absolutely.
I don't think, genuinely, I don't want to see Spurs go down. Partly because it's always fun to beat them twice.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what everyone seems to say. 6 points every year.
Enzo Fernandez, agent. Tell me what's going on here.
Yeah, so Enzo Fernandez got very flirty with Real Madrid whilst he was on the international break. Who doesn't? They want to play for Real Madrid. That's it. So he got a 2-game ban from Chelsea for what he said. Now we're in inverted commas grovelling apology territory here from the agent and from Enzo Fernandez. So we don't think he'll be allowed to play this weekend. Still, they play Manchester City on Sunday, but the agent says it's not a problem. They've cleared the air with Chelsea. He doesn't really want to go to Real Madrid in the summer. Wait for the bid this summer after he comes back from the World Cup with Argentina. But the agent is Javier Pastore, who actually used to play for PSG himself. He said, we've already talked about this in recent days. There's lots of statements. He's just talking about a city, not about the club.
Oh yeah, right. I love all these players. It's like I'm very, very happy here at Spurs, here at Chelsea. But I was never say never.
Yeah. How much?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Well, let's go over to Augusta, figuratively, shall we? Where the Masters has kicked off or teed off. They're powering through the first round. Some amazing scores, you were telling me. One involving Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood has just dropped a shot, but he's gone back to 3 under par. He was 4 under through 9. He's just dropped a shot on the 10th. Patrick Reed has also just dropped a shot on the 10th, but he's 4 under the leader through 10. So absolutely flying start for a few people at the Masters. And Jose Maria Olazabal had a fantastic first round as well. Yeah, he's now 2 over, but he's still he hadn't dropped a shot by the 15th hole. So rolling back the years. Late 50s now, I think. Yeah.
It's amazing the way those guys do that.
Rory's level par, and my tip is Aberg, who's out later on, but my money's on Aberg.
So where is McIlroy?
McIlroy is tied for 20th at the moment, but level par, so in the middle of the pack.
What about the Americans? Who are the Americans that are like?
So, alongside Patrick Reed, I think the smart money on Xander Schauffele as well. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler, world #1, goes out later. But Sam Burns is in great form, and he's 3 under through 12 as well.
Maybe Jordan Spieth could put the ball into the water about 10 times.
Stays out the water on 12, he'll be all right. But, yeah, loves Augusta, obviously.
Yeah, it's a hell of a course. But as Patrick Reed and Tommy Fleetwood have just found out, you can be going... playing a storm. You can be playing way ahead. One hole will ruin you. Remember McIlroy, was it the 11th?
11th, in the trees twice on 11,
And where did you say he is now? What hole is
McIlroy is on the 7th hole at the moment and is level par. So, I mean, after the glory of last year, this is all a bit ceremonial for Rory this year, wandering around like the club captain on the medal day.
Club captain, yeah. Did you know what he had for his winner's meal?
Yeah, fillet steak and there's lobster.
Didn't it shows that like a 2 gram bottle of wine?
A 2 gram bottle of dessert wine as well. Yeah, absolutely. Just the normal thing you get at the golf club.
He's come a long way since he was an Ulster boy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he upset a few people in Ireland though when he said he didn't choose any Irish food because he just wanted to enjoy the meal.
He didn't choose Irish food because he wanted to enjoy the meal. That's how to piss off your fellow Irishmen, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Dean, fantastic sports review there. That's all in the back pages of The Sun tomorrow. Now, coming up after the 6 o'clock news, Robert Bates from the Centre for Migration Control will be joining us, and we need to talk about the escalating migrant crisis. The 4 people who died this morning, the 2 who died last week. Also, I've been talking to Kinsey Schofield about all the latest developments on Planet Royal. Harry can't sell any tickets for a speech he's going to make in Australia. Him and Meghan about to go there on their pretend royal tour. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Andrew. We'll talk about all of them. So a lot still to come. You better stay exactly where you are. Back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This.
Welcome back to the final hour of today's drive time. It's been a hell of a week. Been great to have your company. I hope you found mine vaguely acceptable. You have to put up with it again tomorrow because I'll be back at 4 o'clock. But we've got another 60 sizzling minutes still to go. Breaking news, folks. Breaking news. You'll never believe this. But the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on his mysterious mission to the Middle East, what's he doing there? Photo ops, I know that, but what else? He has come out against Israel. Can you believe that? There's a shock. There's a shock. The Israeli strikes on Lebanon. Israel has been bombarding Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon, in the Beirut and the south of that country, heavily since the ceasefire 2 days ago. It's not funny, but you know what I mean. They've been bombarding Beirut and Lebanon, South Lebanon, for days now. Anyway, the Prime Minister, that international statesman, that colossus who bestrides the world stage in the Middle East for no apparent reason, said that these Israeli strikes on Lebanon following the US-Iran ceasefire deal are, quotes, wrong and they should stop. They're wrong and they should stop. That's what Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said about the continuing Israeli strikes on Lebanon following the American-Iran ceasefire deal. A ceasefire deal that none of us can work out what the hell it means because there doesn't seem to have been any ceasefire. And the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil used to come on tankers, is closed. They say it's open. It's not. It's closed. You can look at these shipping maps. Nothing is going through. There's a great big sort of traffic jam of tankers way back from the Strait of Hormuz, and they can't get through. It's empty. So, you know, we're being gaslit. Oh, ceasefire. Yeah, we've got a definite agreement around which we can base our talks. Yeah, very optimistic. The war is continuing. You know, the moment that Iran and America declared a ceasefire, Iran fired 17 ballistic missiles at Dubai, at the UAE. So, you know, it's this kind of weird stylistic language that they gaslight us with. Yeah, we've sealed a peace deal. But you're still bombing each other. That's not, what kind of a peace is that? I don't know. It's just, I find it confusing. What do you reckon? 0344 499 1000. But the Prime Minister, he wants Israel to stop bombing Lebanon. I'm sure that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, will take one hell of a lot of notice of that. That will be... That'll hit him hard. That'll hit him hard. He won't even bother to look at it or listen. Unbelievable. All right, we'll be talking about the Royals in just a little while. Kinsey Schofield is waiting with the latest news from Planet Windsor. But first, let's talk to Robert Bates from the Centre for Migration Control. Welcome back, Robert.
Evening, Gavin. Thanks for having me.
We've missed you. You've been away for a couple of weeks, haven't you? So good to have you back on board. We need to talk about the migrant crisis in view of the fact 4 people died this morning off the coast of Boulogne, struggling to get on a sinking dinghy. 2 women, 2 men. Two guys drowned last week, so you've got 6 deaths in 2 weeks. You have absolutely no deterrence going on the part of this government. Shabana Mahmood has suggested that we send Border Force boats into French waters to intercept the dinghies and the small boats and take them back to France. Guess what? The French have said no. We are currently paying them, I think, a £16 million extension fee to the £500 million deal we've had for the past 3 years while we negotiate a new deal. The French aren't doing anything. We have no deterrence. The boats are coming across in their droves. Hundreds of migrants are coming across and 6 have died in 2 weeks. This is a lethal shambles, isn't it?
It is, and there is blood on a lot of people's hands. I think, the charities that are aiding those individuals wanting to make the crossing, but also the British and French governments who, in particular on the French side of things, have really refused to actually play any role in stopping those individuals crossing. I mean, the number of times we hear of French border guards sort of just stood on the beaches, hands in pockets, watching as individuals take off on these boats. They really are actually, in many senses, complicit in actually what is happening in the English Channel. I think what we have seen with this rushed, scrambled deal, this sort of ticking over for a couple of months whilst they're thrashing out the longer-term deal, actually is the Labour Party have run up against the sheer obstinance that the French have demonstrated at every turn when it comes to this crisis. They're refusing to help bail out the British government, and that is because they are pursuing what is they perceive to be in their own national interest. Unfortunately, the Labour Party in particular and the Tories before them have not really actually been prepared to grapple with what we can do in Britain to stop those individuals coming across the channel, and that is to make perfectly clear to them that if they do come across, they will not be staying. And unfortunately, again, the talk of the asylum system and any attempt to reform it that Shabana Mahmood is trying to push, is coming up against a lot of backlash from her backbenchers, but also won't stop the fundamental problems, which is the incentive structure that is in place for individuals looking to come to Britain. What we mustn't allow this conversation to gear towards, however, and I think there is a concern when we see these deaths, is talk of creating safe and legal routes so those individuals that want to come to Britain can do so in a legal manner rather than having to get on these boats. I think actually that is the complete opposite of what the British public want. It will see increase, it will see costs increase, it will see communities continue to be blighted. The only way out of this is to start a detention and deportation scheme that on a scale that isn't even comprehensible compared to where we are now, because we're doing so little. 4 or 5% of small boat migrants have been deported under Labour. That is nowhere near enough.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, 2 days ago, 137 migrants came across. Yesterday, 159. So getting on for 300 there. And undoubtedly, the weather's pretty good today as well. So we got the good weather now. Here comes the summer. And once again, this shines a light on the truth about our migrant crisis. There is only one deterrent. Forget smash the gangs. The government doesn't mention that anymore because it was an embarrassing joke. Forget 1 in, 1 out. That was even more of an embarrassing joke. They're not saying anything now. The only deterrent there is bad weather. Now, we're about to get good weather. We've got the summer coming. Here it comes, the annual massive invasion, day after day after day, thousands every week. Here we go again, and once again, the government's got no answer to it.
The only reason we're slightly down this year on last year, which Labour MPs are very keen to point out that, as if somehow things are improving, is precisely that. It is the weather. We've had fewer red days than we did have this time last year. But as you say, we are now approaching the middle of spring. We're coming into a summer where actually we know that the demand has not in any way abated. There are still thousands of individuals in northern France that are desperate to make it to Britain, and nothing fundamental has changed. We're not even working towards a scheme that would actually solve this problem now at this point. And we've got the Home Secretary saying, oh, maybe we'll start to see some results in a year or so's time. We've got the Chancellor admitting that sort of, hotel use is likely to continue up until the time of the next general election. I think what we're seeing now is a Labour Party effectively admitting they are not going to solve this crisis. All the little piecemeal measures they've been trying to put into place have one by one fallen apart. There was also the proposal of sort of offshoring with Balkans countries. That's another proposal that has fallen by the wayside. There's a countless number of failures now. Of course, we've also had the border security commander resign recently because he pretty much admitted that he wasn't going to be able to solve this crisis. This is a government that has taken us from a real crisis into downright national emergency territory. These are now the Starmer boats. More migrants have come across the channel under Keir Starmer than any other Prime Minister in history. This is something that has been completely compounded and exploded into scales that we really weren't even seeing under the Tories by this Labour government. And hopefully, come 2029, they're going to be punished by the electorate for it.
One would hope that, and I think it's almost certain they would be, because a lot of politicians in Westminster, they delude themselves. They say, oh, the biggest thing is always the economy, always the economy. That is first and foremost in the minds of the electorate. Well, it's actually been totally proved now by polling that first and foremost in the minds of the electorate etc., the British voters, is the migrant crisis. They want it stopped. Another tranche of the Labour's policies about, such as they are about the migrant crisis, Robert, it seems to me, is an acceptance that they can't do anything about it, and they try to get us to talk about other things. You know, so we are now going through one of these periods of sort of Trappist monk-like silence on the whole issue, because it's getting worse before our very eyes. So that's what they do. You know, Shabana Mahmood will crop up for a weekend, so I've got all these plans. You know, I'm going to crack down on, you know, indefinite leave to remain. I'm going to crack down on the asylum. I'm going to crack down on criminals being able to stay in the, you know, give me some headlines. So the Sunday papers go, yeah, here's some headlines. You know, tough talking Home Secretary, blah, blah, blah. Then nothing happens. Then loads of migrants, thousands of migrants start coming across the channel. By the way, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we did have 1,000 come in a week. And so they then go quiet because they don't like to talk about it when the reality of what's happening unfolds before our very eyes. That's all they do. They seek a few headlines to act as if they're looking tough, don't do anything, then they go quiet.
Exactly. And whenever a new crisis emerges, they pivot back to one of the most recent headlines that they have somehow been able to generate. I think we saw it a couple of days ago. The new fancy one was that they'd be using drones to identify the individuals that were steering boats. And hoping that would lead to somehow huge prosecutions of individuals that were involved in people smuggling. I mean, the flaws with that don't even really need setting out.
Can I just tell you, Robert, one flaw that I know? These boats, these dinghies, these small boats, they're like when you go to a boating lake in your local park or down to the river and you hire a boat for an hour and they go, that's forward, that's back. If you want to stop it, put it in the middle. There's your steering wheel. Off you go. Have a nice time. That's what these boats are like. So this idea that a member of this people smuggling gang is deputed to steer the boat across the channel is rubbish. It's a migrant who gets a cheap deal on his ticket by being the steerer, the driver. That's all it is. So you can recognise them if you like through your special drone vision systems, but you know, these are not the people smugglers.
You're absolutely right, And even if one was to be driving the boat, they would make that very claim that it wasn't them and they were doing it under duress. So, I mean, it's a ridiculous policy that will lead to no prosecutions at all. It's very unlikely it'll lead to any, but yet it got the headlines, and the Labour Party again will be able to pivot back to that and to suggest that they're somehow taking things forward. But I really think actually the fact that immigration now is the public's #1 concern, even when we have seen these slightly quieter months, suggests now that the Labour Party have lost control of this narrative. This is now burning in the passions of the British public. They're absolutely furious about the chaos that they have seen. They've seen the changes in the community and the costs escalating, and they are simply sick of it now, and they are chomping at the bit for the opportunity to turf out these Labour politicians that are now presiding willfully over a disastrous immigration system that is destroying our country.
Yeah, here it comes, the traditional annual invasion. Get ready, folks, because we are going to have to get used to all of these people coming across the channel yet again. Thousands and thousands and thousands of mostly undocumented young men from foreign countries just being welcomed into this country in a bizarre way. So here we go again. Last couple of questions, Robert, to move on to a slight extent. You follow the news. You've seen Keir Starmer. He's gone out to the Middle East. He went to Saudi Arabia yesterday. He's in the UAE today, talking about something about the ceasefire and the peace process. I've been asking people all day, have you got any idea what the hell it is he's supposed to be doing out there?
I think he's doing whatever every Prime Minister does when they have a domestic crisis, is they run away and try and masquerade as a statesman. And it really is actually, I think, where his heart wants to be. He doesn't care about Britain. I mean, he said it himself. He thinks Davos is more important than Westminster. This is a man that really has no actual interest in making this country a better place. So any opportunity to dance around on the international stage. But of course, he's been at best a side figure in this whole thing. And then we saw him the other day, saying that, you know, we'd secured a ceasefire, as if he was somehow the mastermind behind bringing peace to the Middle East and presenting himself as some kind of international connoisseur of diplomacy. This is a man that is completely out of his depth, whichever way he turns, and he's desperately hoping that actually, because the public are quite concerned about what is happening in the Middle East, people will start to associate him with somehow an attempt to bring order and to bring that to an end. It's not going to fly now, because the big pressure is being caused by that Middle East crisis, in particular on energy. If anything, the consequences of that are completely dwarfed by the actual energy policies that are being pursued by Ed Miliband and his own government, that are having a much more direct impact on actually why things are getting so much more expensive, why energy is getting so much more expensive in this country, and ordinary people across the country are suffering the cost as a result of it. So this is a man completely out of his depth and hoping beyond hope that he'll be throwing something from the international stage that he can kind of hook his reputation on and use it to try and redeem one of the most unpopular prime ministerships I think we've ever seen in this country.
It's stunning, and Labour believe that they can restyle this weird little man's image as an international statesman, a colossus who bestrides the world stage. And I say to Labour, good luck with that. Now, Robert, thank you so much for your time. Good to have you back. Let's talk again soon. Robert Bates there, from the Centre for Migration Control. Let's take a couple of calls before we go to break, shall we? Let's talk to Nick in Stoke-on-Trent. Hello, Nick. You want to talk about shoplifting?
Yeah, hello, Kev. What it is...
This call is being recorded.
This call is being recorded? Okay. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we're being recorded, so we better be careful what we say. What would you like to say?
I will be very careful, Kev.
Yes, all right, I'm only joking.
I've got a nephew in the shoplifting report you did.
Yeah.
He works at another store, which I won't name, but you went to Aldi. This is another store that begins with A. And
I can see which one it is. Yeah.
Now, that store, they haven't employed a security guard for 3 months. And there's only 2 of them. Me nephew is 30 years of age.
Yeah.
And he has to lock up at 11 o'clock.
And is he, to do his job, to be a security guard at this major supermarket?
He's not a security guard, he's a shop assistant.
Shop assistant, okay.
Yeah. They won't employ a security guard.
Oh, they haven't got any? Oh, okay. No. What is the policy for your nephew? Is he told don't tackle the shoplifters?
I don't know what they've been told, but he did. He didn't tackle, but he questioned a shoplifter. Said that he was aware of what he was doing. And for his troubles, he got punched in the face and knocked out.
God, really?
The store wasn't interested in it at all.
I'll tell you. Is he okay? Is he all right now?
He's okay now.
Poor guy.
Another incident happened after that. There was somebody outside. Again, this is with having no security guard, no manager there.
Yeah. I know, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's 2 things, Nick. Your nephew's working in a store with no security guards at all. But even the stores that have security guards, these stores have got a policy that the security guards don't stop shoplifters. So what's the point of them?
Well, this is it. And he had customers come in to complain that there was a guy sat outside begging at the cash point.
Yeah.
So he did say he did have a word with the bloke, and they phoned the police. The police didn't do anything about it.
They didn't turn up, right?
No. So the guy goes back outside, and eventually, after he was questioned, he decided that his best move then would be start throwing his own human excrement around the shop.
Oh, God almighty. Honestly, I'll tell you, Nick, this shoplifting thing is symptomatic of the societal decay that this country is going in. You've got to enforce the law. If you live in a country that doesn't bother with the law, then you're living in a country that is disintegrating. I think Britain really is in big trouble. Nick, listen, I hope your nephew's all right. Thank you for an excellent call. I've got to go because I've got to go to break, but thank you. Nick in Stoke-on-Trent there. Let's go to break. More calls when you come back. Actually, we're going to talk about Hadrian's Wall, I think, next. How about that? This show gets around. That next. Stay tuned.
world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will arrive in Australia next week. They will be here for 4 days.
Oh, yeah, that's me, isn't it? That's the Duke of Sussex. Oh, so what's that? It's my computer. I was just reading about Harry and Meghan, who are just about to go to Australia, which teased me up very nicely. I did that on purpose. So let's go over to Kinsey Schofield over there in Los Angeles. Hi, Kins.
I did that on purpose.
I did. Honestly. I was just looking up actually when it was that Harry and Meghan actually are supposed to go to Australia. Is it very soon, isn't it?
Well, we know that on the 16th, Harry's speaking at the Workplace Mental Health Conference, and they've slashed prices by 50% because no one cares.
Yeah, this is in Melbourne, isn't it? And it is a symposium. I'll see if I can remember this. A symposium on psychosocial safety in the workplace. I can't imagine, and the tickets are $1,900. I can't imagine why nobody's going. Can you? I mean, it sounds so interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds so interesting. From a man who can't keep an employee to save his life, talking about workplace mental health. So originally it was a 2-day summit that was priced like I want to say close to $2,400. There was another tier that was $2,000, but now they've added an additional tier out of desperation for $1,000 to physically be there. But if you'd like to stream it online, you can do that for about $500. But this is a clear sign that they're not selling the types of tickets that they wanted to be selling, that Prince Harry doesn't attract the audience that they assumed he was going to attract. And I spoke to a source that lost out on a speaking gig in DC so that Harry could speak, that is an expert on privacy and internet privacy and has all sorts of certifications in AI. And she listed all of the certifications she felt like Harry should have had to be qualified to speak in DC. And basically the reaction from the audience was like, what the heck? You're given you're given guidelines, protocol when you score one of these keynote speeches, and one of the things they ask you to present to the audience is research and solutions. I mean, and we get a lot of that actually. I think a great example of that is Catherine's Early Years project. You know, occasionally they'll release the research that she's generated through that project. Harry got on stage in DC and moaned and groaned about how he's lacked privacy since he was born. Offered no solutions. It was just another mental breakdown for an audience to witness. And a lot of the people in DC were disappointed that they'd paid such a significant, I think it was $1,800 for those tickets, to sit and listen to a privileged man complain about his upbringing in a castle. And so I think that Australia is a good example of people catching on and realizing that maybe he's not an authority on all of these things. And do we really want to spend such a significant amount of money to listen to a grown man cry?
Yeah, $1,900 to attend this symposium on psychosocial safety in the workplace. Harry's being paid 50 grand for this, $50,000 for this speech. And as you say, they can't sell the tickets, so they're slashing the prices, as far as we know, the place is still half empty, so they're desperately trying to virtually give the tickets away to spare Harry the embarrassment of having to speak to a half-empty auditorium. It's pretty... You know, he's fallen a long way, hasn't he? How the high and mighty fall. This is a guy who not so long ago was the popular prince here, the dashing soldier. Everybody loved him. There was this fabulous regal royal wedding at the height of pomp and ceremony. Harry and Meghan, the couple that everybody loved. And now look at them. He's trying to flog tickets to something so boring it hurts and nobody wants to go. Meanwhile, she's selling selfies at a hotel in Sydney for about $3 grand a pop. It's embarrassing how far these two have fallen, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking from an overall branding standpoint, but from a financial standpoint, there's also a real downfall. This was a man that upon leaving the British royal family was demanding $1 million per speech. And now it's like, no, that's not going to happen for you. Not when we've seen what you're capable of saying, and it's not much. I mean, what was the title of that?
Yeah, hang on, I can tell you it's a symposium on psychosocial safety in the workplace.
Carrie can't even spell that.
I'm not sure I can, but to be fair, however, if you gave me about 5 years, I might be able to come up with something that's more boring sounding than a symposium on psychosocial safety in the workplace.
Well, and I reported a few weeks ago, I'd reported about a month ago that Rob Shooter had told me that Meghan was going to be quietly, you know, she's going to wait to the last minute to announce it, but quietly will be also opening a Soho House over there. And the Daily Mail over the last few days has reported the same thing, that they expect Meghan to open a Soho House while in Australia. And you know what Soho House is? It's an elite club for, you know, it's a private elite club that you have to submit a request to join. You have to pay monthly. And this is no offense to Soho House, because I think you're a member, but you know, I think leaving...
I'm a man of the people, Sophie.
That's right. That's right. But to leave the ultimate, you know, elite in the British royal family to go cut ribbons at a Soho House, I'm sorry, but what a fall from grace.
I've got a great question for you. We were discussing this earlier when we were recording my show, What Just Happened. Fantastic programme. It'll be out tomorrow night. Don't miss it, folks. YouTube as of Saturday. You might be on it a bit, Kins, as you always are. But we were discussing this upcoming pretend royal tour of Australia that the Gruesome Twosome are going on. And in their itinerary, Meghan's going to be giving a television interview, and
wait, do you know that that's been proven to be an April Fool's joke?
Oh, is that not true? Because I heard that she'd given all these topics, these questions that couldn't be asked. So I was going to ask you, what is the question that you'd most like to ask Meghan? I can ask you that anyway.
I would ask her to define racist, but yeah. So I'll give you the rundown. That was Larry Emder, who works on the morning show, and he posted ahead of the Australian tour, blah, blah, blah. So he's recently said, I posted it on April 1st. Then it was sent around the world and landed in various feeds days later and somehow lost its April Fool's sting, which I think is hysterical. That constitutes a hugely successful April Fool's gag in my book. Anyway, if you're angry, then just unfollow me, because I don't do angry. But my argument is, if this is the guy he's a morning show anchor at one of the biggest morning shows in Australia. If you're the guy I turn to when we go to war, if you're the guy I'm supposed to turn to when there's a storm and I need to know how to prepare, you've just jeopardized your credibility for a little internet clout. And I really have an issue with that.
Yeah, that's good.
And if I were Meghan Markle, I would be like, this is the perfect example of misinformation spreading all over the internet. Thank you for doing my job for me.
Yeah, you think, hey, Larry, why don't you really get an interview instead of making an an April Fool about it. And by the way, April Fools are supposed to be funny. I mean, his April...
I didn't think that was funny.
It's not funny. I mean, it worked, but it's not funny. It's still... My question I would ask, Megan, is this. How long is your husband going to try to kid himself he's not bald by pulling 4 strands of ginger hair across his bald pate?
Oh, my gosh.
That would be my question.
I think that's a fair question. I do.
It's exactly the opposite of a fair question, but it's the one. It's the one I would ask her. Let me, before you go, Kinsey, let's talk about Prince Andrew. I'm not sure what I make of this. He's finally moving into his forever home, if you like, on the Sandringham estate, and the royals are starting to visit him. Prince Edward has been to see him. So has Princess Anne. Now, I get it. They're brothers and sisters, family and all that. So they're now starting to sympathise with Andrew, and they're worried about his mental state and all that. I get that. But this is what I would hope that Edward and Anne, and if anybody else goes to see him, would be saying to Andrew. Rather than, Andrew, you remember the royal family should never have come to this. This is what I would say to him. I said, look, you want to sort your mental health out, make yourself feel better, do the right thing, do the decent thing and testify to Congress about Jeffrey Epstein. And while you're at it, come good on your promise that you made to work with charities supporting the victims of sexual abuse. That pledge you made when you did a deal, a £12 million deal with Virginia Giuffre, God rest her soul, all those years ago. That's what I'd say to him. I don't think this guy, because of his attitude, deserves any sympathy at all.
Yeah, I mean, too little too late is how I feel about Andrew. I think he should have spared his mother and run off and disappeared a long time ago. But instead, Charles has inherited this horrible, embarrassing, humiliating, and, potentially jeopardizing scenario. I mean, we could no longer have a British royal family in the next few years. And in my opinion, if this continues to unravel in the ways that Andrew Loney certainly says it could continue to unravel. I did not know that Anne had visited, but I would say that I could defend Prince Edward because he has shown empathy for the victims publicly, and I do think that matters.
And the Princess Royal is a decent person, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm on difficult ground here. I don't obviously a family, their brothers, their sisters, they're going to have natural concerns about their brother and his mental decline, which is only natural. I just think the royal family got to be very careful here, because there is no sympathy for Andrew, and he doesn't bloody well deserve anyone. He really doesn't deserve sympathy. The man is a dreadful oaf. The royal family better be careful about this. I mean, by all means, be nice, loving towards your brother, but be careful about the public image. Don't start gathering around him, because that could spell big problems for the royal family. I agree with you, Kinsey. Kinsey, I've got to go, but thank you so much for another excellent interview, and have a lovely weekend, and we'll talk on Monday. That's the great Kinsey Schofield on Matters Royal. Let's go to break. When we come back, we will now be going to Hadrian's Wall for an extraordinary story. I think I better wait and give you the details after these messages.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm just looking at the newspapers here. There's a massive victory parade snaking through Tehran as we speak. It's huge. Flags, people, as far as the eye can see. A victory parade. Thousands spilling onto the streets of Tehran, waving portraits of the assassinated Ayatollah as the ceasefire falls apart. And yet, you know, America's still saying, yeah, the Straits of Hormuz are open, the ceasefire's on. It's not. And the Strait of Hormuz is not open. You know, you can't just leave everything hanging like this, gaslight us with, you know, a version of the truth that isn't the truth. It's ridiculous. Massive victory parade going through Tehran right now. No doubt Donald Trump will organise one to snake through the streets of Washington as soon as possible. Right, let's move on. Very important story here. Let's talk about Hadrian's Wall, that famous Roman wall that sort of divides England and Scotland. 1900 years old it is. Took 15,000 soldiers 6 years to build. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and quite a site it is too. Here's the problem. Dog walkers in that area, you know, it's lots and lots of old brick, you know, stones, bricks, those walls. Their dogs, so they're cleaning up after their dogs with the poo bags, brightly coloured. And then rather lazily, rather than wait for a waste paper bin or anything, they're just shoving it in the wall. Look at that. And apparently the wall now is just festooned with these poo bags, you know, sticking out, you know, from the wall. Crap behaviour, as our caption says. They've asterisked out the A, but I haven't. Let's talk to political commentator, former independent mayor of Middlesbrough. He's from that area, Andy Preston. Have you got a dog, Andy?
Hello, Kevin. I don't. I have had dogs. I love dogs, but obviously always made sure we cleared up after them.
Well, this is the thing. These dog walkers around the Hadrian's Wall area, they obviously... They're semi responsible. They collect up their dog's waste, put it in the poo bag, and then they they just shove it in the wall, and it's becoming a huge problem. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
Oh, Kevin, it's thoroughly disgusting. I don't know whether your viewers and listeners are familiar with Hadrian's Wall, but in case some people aren't, it's 2,000 years old. It's a huge wall that spanned the width of England up in Northumberland, where England meets Scotland, built by the Romans literally 2,000 years ago. 15,000 soldiers constructed that over years and years. It's an international monument. It's a World Heritage Site. It's the most stunning thing if you haven't seen it. It's worth a trip, 80 miles wide. And to think that people are defacing it like this and ruining our heritage, ruining an experience for other people, it's disgusting. And my fear, Kevin, is it sounds quite humorous and trivial, and I suppose at one level it is, but at another level it just shows the deep lack of respect that's evolving in our country for other people.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's exactly it. It's like, I'm old enough to remember campaigns like Keep Britain Tidy. I'm old enough to remember where if you got seen when you were a kid throwing a sweet wrapper onto the pavement, some adult would always say, pick that up. Well, those kind of standards have gone. Now, I'll tell you what worries me about this as a perennial dog owner. I'm between dogs at the moment, mind you. But if these dog owners, dog walkers, cannot be persuaded to stop this, and all it is laziness. It's, I can't see a waste paper bin, boom. I'll be honest with you, now and again I try not to do it, but if you really can't find a waste paper bin, now and again I have chucked a bag into the bush, because you just think, I'm not going to carry this around for an hour. So there may be a case to say, put more waste paper bins or dog waste bins out there. But what worries me here, Andy, is if these dog walkers can't be persuaded to behave in a more responsible way about Hadrian's Wall, the whole area will be banned. Dogs will be banned from it, and that would be a shame.
It would be a massive shame. And of course, Kevin, we always know that it's like 5%, maybe even less, maybe 2 or 3%. But what are we supposed to do other than banning dogs completely? You know, we're seeing as I say, an international icon that's been bequeathed to us over the centuries, you know, for our island to cherish. We've seen it ruined and defaced. What we're supposed to do? I mean, the thing is, even if we catch people, Kevin, what happens these days? Is there a fine? Shouldn't we be doing something more constructive, more punitive, more humiliating for these people? Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think you're exactly right. I mean, we've been focusing today on shoplifting. The problem with so many, if you like, for want of a better term, smaller crimes, less serious crimes, is there's no punishment at all. The police don't go, you know, yeah, I quite like to see someone arrested for doing this, but the chances of the police going out to investigate a poo bag in Hadrian's Wall are pretty remote, and I would actually sympathise with the police on that one. But yeah, I mean, I just hope that us doing this story, the newspapers doing this story, I hope that dog walkers will get the message and stop doing this. I think that's about the best we can do, isn't it?
I think it probably is. As you say, you're not going to have coppers walking up and down Hadrian's Wall, sadly. I think that you've hit on something there, though. It's about punishment. It's about the little things, because if you let them go. So we had all that trouble, Kevin, last week and the week before, and over a few weeks, in fact, down in Clapham, you know, the Marks and Spencers and all this trouble. And the truth is, it's not about bad parenting. It's not about lack of youth clubs. It's kids craving excitement and doing stuff because they know there are no consequences.
Yeah, no consequences.
Any humans, Kevin, when there's no consequences, behaviours and standards just go to pot. Yeah. And that's why we need to intervene.
Yeah, that's what I always say about prison. People say, the primary purpose of prison is rehabilitation. All for rehabilitation, but that is not the primary purpose of prison. The primary purpose of prison is punishment. You broke the law, we're punishing you. We need to get that message across.
And it deters others, doesn't it, Kevin?
Exactly right. It sends that message. And I guess the best we can do, Andy, is to just shout out to everybody, dog walkers in the Hadrian's Wall area, don't do this. Just don't leave the wall alone.
2,000 years old.
Exactly right. Andy, great to talk to you. Come on again soon. Andy Preston there, former independent mayor of Middlesbrough. You can give me a call about Hadrian's Wall if you like. What we got, Amanda sent me a message saying, poo bags in Hadrian's Wall, yet another page in the book of decline of our once great country. I think I understand that. Who said this? Someone got a message on it. Said, with regards to Hadrian's Wall, get Italy to police it. They built it. Should we go to break? We'll take some calls after this. These messages 03444 99 1000. I'll read some more. I don't know if we've got any. Oh yeah, we have got voice notes. I'll play those. So see you in a minute.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I've got a text here from Jill, a WhatsApp text, which I think sums up half the problem. Nobody really cares. Jill said, when sweets used to be by the tills, my 2-year-old grabbed a few chocolate bars and I wasn't aware until I got home. I went back to the shop and returned the chocolate and offered to pay. But the member of staff told me, why did I bother? The member of staff said that I should have kept them. I mean, it sums it up, doesn't it? You know, Jill tries to do the decent thing, the right thing, and the shop assistant goes, oh, why bother? It's just, you know, it's the little things. You know, if you let those kind of things go, the drip, drip, drip of decay gets worse and worse. Here's a voice note from Martin on shoplifting.
My mother is 94 years of age. She was in the supermarket. She saw a shoplifter loading goods into his coat. She told a member of staff. The member of staff called the manager. The manager then said to my mother that they will not apprehend him. The thief then walked out the store with the stolen goods, and so my 94-year-old mother gave chase, calling him a thief, to which he stopped, turned round and just said, no, speak English. This is the state of our nation nowadays. It's a disgrace.
What a woman! What a woman! This, you see, because that's because Martin's 94-year-old granny comes from a different era when people did do something about law breaking. If they saw shoplifting, they stopped it. Now nobody cares, least of all the shops themselves. Therefore, we have an escalating crisis. Here's another voice note. This is from Rich on shoplifting as well.
Regarding shoplifting in it's more convenience stores like small Tesco's, small one-stops. But we got a one-stop by us, and I was in there, and there was it was that blatant. He got a bag and basically took all the coffee off the shelves and put it in the bag. I didn't confront him. I just pretended to be an off-duty police officer, and I told him to put it back, and I was quite firm. He didn't know what to do, but he did. He put it back on the shelf and walked out. And the staff in there said, fair play. That was a really good gesture. There is ways around it.
Yeah, I mean, well done, Rich. Well done. But you know, it's a drop in the rancid ocean, isn't it? You know, that you did the right thing. At least you didn't get sacked. Walker Smith did the right thing at Waitrose and he got fired. So, yeah, people should be allowed to do the right thing if they want to. I think people should be allowed to tackle shoplifters. Staff members should be allowed to tackle shoplifters if they choose to, if they want to, if they take the decision that I'm going to do something about this. We should not be telling them, no, don't do anything. It's bad for us. It's bad for us as a nation. It really is, in my view. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Ian in London. Hi, Ian.
You know when coppers wore high hats?
Yeah, I do remember that. I'm old enough to remember that.
You know when you respected the police and you didn't have any problems?
I'm old enough to remember that as well.
Yeah. But it's like, I went into the local Marks today and I've walked in and I'm looking around, and all of a sudden there's a kid walking around. If I tell you, you would have said straight away, he's either going to be a shoplifter or it's going to be something. The whole face was covered. He had a baseball cap on, had a complete mask with 2 slits, and then a slit on the mouth. And I'm looking, and I know the staff in the shop, and I looked at them, and they've looked, and there's security guy. It's okay, we know who he is, and he's with that guy over there, a white guy, an older guy. But it just... Everybody in the shop thought, aye, what's going to happen here? But it just shows you, and they've got, whether the basically maybe he's got a skin condition or something.
That's not that. That is not that. That's so he can't be. That's so he's not recognised. You know. The thing is, I wouldn't describe shoplifting necessarily as evil, but this phrase comes to mind when I think about our shoplifting problem in this country. Evil happens when good men stand by and watch. And Waitrose, all these stores, they have policies. They're basically telling their staff, the members of the public are being told, stand by and watch, do not get involved. Evil happens when good men stand by and watch.
Can I say one thing on that, Kevin?
Yeah, go on.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Are you talking about shoplifting, or are you talking about the politics in this country now?
Both, I guess. But, I mean, shoplifting, I wouldn't describe it necessarily as evil, but you see what I'm saying. When we have a culture of standing by, of never getting involved, never doing anything, letting people break the law, letting people do wrong because we mustn't put ourselves at risk, things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. Evil happens when good men stand by and watch. It's as simple as that. Ian, good to talk to you, mate. Thank you. Excellent call. Let's go to Anne-Marie in Lanarkshire. Hello, Anne-Marie. What would you like to say?
Hello. I'd like to talk about the migrants coming over the boat.
Please do.
If our government was just to declare a state of emergency, the Human Rights Act wouldn't apply. They set up camps. They said to them they can either go back to France or they can go back to their country of origin, and they just don't let them come in. You wouldn't have to go to court on that, and people wouldn't be able to stay on wanting.
I think it's a good plan, Anne-Marie, but the problem is that our government doesn't want to declare a state of emergency, because that would make them look even more useless than they already look.
Well, I'm afraid we have a Prime Minister that only cares about his job. He doesn't care about the state of the country.
You're so right.
I know Go on. This isn't just Labour that's done this. They could have called this, but now we really are in a state of emergency.
I agree with you, but getting the government to declare a state of emergency is frankly a pipe dream. They won't do it.
I don't understand how the man's still there. But anyway, can I say on shoplifting, we all pay for that.
I know, that's exactly right, Anne-Marie. Yeah, people say shoplifting is a victimless crime. It's not, because the cost of it is passed on to the shops, obviously, and they have to put their prices up, and the rest of us have to pay those prices.
And if they don't stop shoplifting, how can the insurance companies be paying them? They just letting their profits run out the door. No, they're putting them onto us. I think we're the ones that are being shortchanged by our Prime Minister and our government, and not just this government. I mean, this has been going on for a lot of years, but this government is particularly...
It's made it worse. 14 years of terrible Tory governments, followed by this Labour government, who achieved what we thought was impossible and became even worse than their Tory predecessors. Anne-Marie, thank you for an excellent call. Please call me again. Let's finish off, shall we? Let's talk to Karen in Bournemouth. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
All right. What would you like? Oh, Russians. What would you like to say?
Well, I was listening to John Healy today.
Yeah.
Do you know that bloke's not tough enough to sit and talk to a client?
We see you.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but at the early stages of the Russia-Ukraine invasion, the Russians decided they were going to sort of test little theories out to see who would do what. And they flew a couple of jets over Turkey.
Yeah.
They were shot down 10 minutes later.
Were they?
And they were never bothered Turkey again.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be shot.
What John Healy should have done was the first time he saw those submarines.
Yeah.
Watching.
Well, I don't know if you could see submarines.
Shut their tail off.
Yeah. Well,
so that all they'd have to do is...
we need to stand up. We need to be a nation that doesn't allow itself to be bombed by enemies and do nothing, which is what we seem to have become. Listen, Karen, good call to finish the show. Thank you very much. Call me again. Karen in Bournemouth. And Peter Cobbo's in the studio. Hi, Pete.
Hi there. Some good points, actually, from Karen. And the question is, if the Falklands were invaded this moment, Would we be able to defend them in any way? That's the question I want to ask.
Well, I was talking to former Tory MP Sir Gerald Howarth, a veteran Tory grandee, and I said we've become a nation. In this recent war, we were drone bombed twice on Cyprus, our air base, and also our soldiers at an air base or a military base we share with the Americans in northern Iraq were firebombed. Thousands of drones fired at them. We've become a nation that allows enemies to do that, and we don't do anything back.
It's very true. We'll be talking about all of that and what's happening on day 41 of this war. Is there actually a ceasefire? Can it be called that?
By the way, the